Chase throws in the flat. Pass is complete to Clayton. First down and then some. Goodbye, Mark Clayton. To the 10, to the 5. Touchdown, Oklahoma. Incredible.
This is 365 Sports.
Motion by Oliver. Lucky will go the other way on the option. Pulls it down. Touchdown, Aggies.
365 Sports is presented by IdealMRI.com. High-quality MRIs for $497 or less. IdealMRI.com. Your health is important, so is your budget.
McNabb, straight back. Left side, he's all alone. It's a touchdown. Conrad. A defensive breakdown, and Conrad was all alone. He goes into the end zone for the second touchdown. Nobody was over there.
365 Sports is also brought to you by Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, protecting Texans since 1952.
Maurice Claret is the tailback, or the single back. He's got it. He's got a touchdown.
365 Sports is turbocharged by Unite Private Networks. Find out more at uniteprivatenetworks.com.
Hello, end zone. Won't catch it. LaMichael James. And ladies and gentlemen, right now, this young man is a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, here we go, 365 Sports, and welcome today to the first day of the spring transfer portal, 5 weeks, college football, and of course we'll have some news on that. Some pretty good guests today, really good guests with Christy Dosh, Amanda Kristovich, Texas Tech defensive coordinator Sheil Wood, Eric Galko, Dan Skillings, and we'll have Paul's top five too. Now, we broke from tradition. Garrett Ross, Craig Smoak, what do we normally have when it's somebody's birthday, which I usually, being the team mom, am the one in charge of that.
Cookie cake.
And Craig almost got to the point where he started to turn them down as we'd have extra pieces. He loves cookie cake, especially where I get it at the Richland Mall.
I mean, I like cookie cake, but you can have too much of everything, right? And I don't really need the extra large cookie cake to take and have like 3/4 of it to try to eat over 24 hours before it gets stale. That's where my problem lies with the cookie cake.
It's the race against time.
Yeah, it's like, I mean, I'd have to eat like a giant cookie cake in 24 hours to make like before it goes stale. So it's like it just kind of is just too much. So I prefer, maybe a little bit of a break, which clearly we're getting here, or just a smaller cake maybe would be better off. But yeah, we did get into a run because we got a lot of spring birthdays.
Well, Amanda, I talked to Amanda. I said, what is that favorite cake that Paul likes, the fruity cake, whatever it is? And she said it's bundt cakes. And I remembered that. So I got some advice from Amanda, gave me some options, where to go. Didn't realize that Garrett's daughter works at, what is it called?
Nothing Bundt Cakes.
Nothing is a great name. So I ordered. I had a lot of errands to run today. And I ordered it. I said, I'll go pick it up around 2. And she goes, well, the person on the phone, Amanda, gave me some ideas. I didn't know it was going to have this fluffy little like peacock head on the top. And then the lady goes, do you want it in a box? I went, I hope that's what it is because I want to carry it in so Paul doesn't see it. I didn't realize there's a box on top. So that was pretty cool. This is a bundt cake, and I believe it's supposed to be a Oreo cookie bundt cake.
That's what it said on the cellophane, as you want to.
Yeah, this thing, I took the cellophane because I had to put the 4 and the 5 because I forgot your age because I had 4, 6, 4, 7. I wasn't sure.
Yes, we're not there yet. We are now on the back half of 40, and it's greatly appreciated.
You're halfway to 90. You're welcome. And I
know. God, I hope
I gave you hell over this.
I hope I make it to 90 so I can be a pain in the ass.
No.
Like I want to.
You don't have to wait till you're 90. Be 40 to 65.
I want to be the
Yeah.
How do I work this damn TV?
Yeah. So it's got all this happy birthday, and I got to give it, like in hockey, Amanda gets an assist for this because she kind of helped me out. I'd never heard of this place. Because Garrett doesn't share any information about the family other than he has kids. And so this is, now I got to tell you, this is a diva cake right here. This is like ultimate diva cake, but it's going to be good. It's going to be delicious. I've got matches if you guys want me to light it or not, but it is delicious. All right, we'll get to that in a minute. We'll light it up maybe coming out, Garrett, of the first break.
Okay.
So yesterday we mentioned Jaden Knott, the running back from California. Also, really highly ranked offensive lineman in the portal. Oklahoma, Jake McCullough. Hey, they really haven't made many splashes. Now they have Mateer. That's a great splash. Now they have Ott. Now they have an offensive lineman. Craig Smoak, you being the resident Oklahoma fan, your thoughts about these two pickups, especially Jaden Knott?
Yeah, I was going to say, I mean, they made a pretty big splash with Mateer. I mean, he was the biggest quarterback there in the portal, and so to land him was a pretty big cannonball there a few months ago, but they clearly needed other help, and didn't see Jaden Knott jumping into the portal at this point, but he did, and they were the team to go and scoop him up to my delight. They could definitely use some help in terms of their playmakers and in terms of that backfield. So to get a guy of that caliber, I mean, I think they would have been okay, but to go and get a player who clearly upgrades you in that way was a great move that I didn't know that they would be able to pull. And then to add McCullough, as you said, and bring him over from Stanford, beat out apparently UCLA for him. And get him off the West Coast to help block for a Jaden Knott, I think is a great move as well. So it needed somebody there in the interior and got a couple of big-time dudes, it looks like, here as the spring portal starts to awaken. So, yeah, I think great job by Brent Venables and his staff. And also, I guess Jim Nagy deserves some credit here as well, right, as he's now the GM and fully operational there. So don't know, haven't dove into who all was involved in the process, but it worked well for them because they landed two pretty big additions without a doubt, and definitely some guys who you hope or you would expect going to make you a better team heading into the next year.
We're not going to be able to go too far without having a little bit of that Nico Iamaleava stuff, and we will, and including a guest that will join us who wrote a story about it, the background of Nico, Tennessee, and all of what happened. Paul, Jaden Knott, good player. We love him.
He's really good, and look, they've done well. Jim Nagy has made some big swings already. And this is something, it's weird. I never thought I would see the day where Oklahoma was kind of ho-hum at running back. Like, you could tell me almost any other position that Oklahoma would be like, all right, well, they can have a better cornerback or linebacker or, well, they don't have any defensive tackles, although that one has usually been pretty darn solid as well. It's just kind of an off year for a quarterback, but they usually kind of circle back. But one thing they always had, which really helped their quarterbacks in the, non-Kyler Murray, Baker Mayfield times where you have somebody in there, was they always had not just one, but like 3 running backs that would start everywhere in the country. And then for the last 2 years, that's really not been the case.
Yeah, I mean, you had the freshman and Taylor Tatum, who was getting a lot of carries there at points, and you had Javonte Barnes, and I mean, Jackson Arnold was like your second leading rusher. I mean, that's how bad it was in comparison to especially the glory days that you're talking about, DeMarco Murray and Adrian Peterson, and the list goes on and on and on. And yeah, it just felt like they were always going to have a dude at running back, a guy who would probably go play in the NFL for a stint, if not a couple of those guys in their backfield. And that lasted for forever. And then last year, that was certainly not the case due to a variety of different reasons. I mean, a lack of passing game or lack of wide receivers to pass to doesn't help your running game as it all works together. Offensive line was historically bad compared to the offensive lines that they've been producing. And then obviously quarterback play wasn't what it needed to. So I think the whole offense was a mess. That's why there's the changes that are being made. So nothing was untouchable in my mind for the most part. And to add a Jade Naughton, then add a guy who very well may be your starting center, at least certainly bolsters the middle of your offensive line there. And then, Mateer and the other moves they've made, I'm excited about what they've done. I think they've done a good job. I don't know, how much of a boost it gives them record-wise heading into next year. That's all for the coming months to sit there and stew on and discuss. But I'm a happy fan with what they've done here recently. Absolutely.
Well, it had been a while. I mean, Mateer, yes. So they've had what appears to be a very nice offseason. And then there's Nico Iamaleava, who now is officially in the portal. It's not a breaking news, not a surprise, but he is now in the portal. However, do not contact tag. Does that mean he already knows where he's going, or are they the ones that have already been contacting people but wanted to let everyone know officially he's in the portal?
Yeah, I don't know. That was kind of strange to have a do not contact tag. And of course,
I've seen that before, though.
I mean, for him to have a do not contact tag, given especially the details in the story that Max and Pete Thamel put together about his market is basically nothing right now. And then what we're about to talk about in a second, where Nico's family is trying to, I don't know, but they
the Nico side-by-side similarities, man. The Nico Harrison, like the damage control they're doing, the Mavericks and Nico, it's very oddly similar to the Nico parallels here.
Yeah, don't name your kid Nico this year. It's bad luck.
Yeah, it is.
But I would think that he'd be like, please contact me. But I guess he's got some places that he wants to look, or somewhere maybe that he's already going to go and say, but we'll see. I mean, it's a weird situation.
All right. We have Amanda Kristovich, who's become one of our favorite segments from Front Office Sports. She wrote a column, article behind the scenes of what was going on. And in that, she had an interview with one of the family members or family friend. And some of the quotes are, in a phone interview with Front Office Sports, a close family friend of Nico, who has been heavily involved in his son's NIL negotiations. Now, a close family friend of Nico who has been very heavily involved in his son's NIL negotiations. The guy claims that Maliava pushed for more NIL money. The narrative was bullshit, says a friend who declined to be identified by name. Other Front Office Sports sources close to the talks dispute those claims. And also, his camp refusing to relinquish control, blaming Tennessee and the school's Spire Sports NIL collective. His representation hasn't steered him wrong. At the end of the day, what did we do wrong to steer him and put him in a bad situation? And of course, a lot of people had reaction to this. Don't know the sources, haven't talked to the family, but this was part of her story. She'll join us at 4.
Well, Nico's camp's already been caught lying once.
Yeah, I mean, why are we trusting anything they have to say?
Yeah, so they've already been caught lying once, that nothing was going on. And if it wasn't about more money, well, then what was it about? Like, why
in the story, it is about making sure this again, just from the perspective of those in the Nico camp, making sure that they did get extra offensive linemen and wide receivers, et cetera, so that he would have better weapons and a better team around him. That's what they're claiming has been the discussion from even back at the end of last year.
Okay, and Tennessee's not doing that, and
Tennessee's like, no, we don't want to block for you.
And he's the one who gets to tell them because he knows all these things.
Mm-hmm.
Like this is like, you know what's bullshit? This like that is just not like that's all ridiculously unreasonable. You think Tennessee doesn't want those guys?
Or they didn't know they needed help.
Like. You know who knows that? Josh Heupel.
Yeah.
They know what they need. They know what they lost. They know what they need to replace. He didn't wake up in the morning a couple of days ago and was like, are we in the SEC?
Yeah.
What? They didn't.
Why wouldn't we want to protect our quarterback? Or do we? Yeah.
No, this is damage control, and they should just keep their head down and not say anything.
Man, how could you not trust unnamed family friend who's deflecting all blame and saying they did nothing wrong? I can't believe we wouldn't just trust this person with our 100% confidence. But I mean, I'm not going to get like super, up in arms about this. I mean, their camp clearly feels a certain type of way, and they apparently can do no wrong, is what we've learned over the last few days. It's all the rest of the world that's reacting to all of these things wrongly, apparently. And so I'm sure they're going to end up laughing at all of us when he's sitting on a pile of gold and he has all of his offensive linemen around him protecting him and they get their way. Or maybe it's going to turn into a complete S show, kind of like the last few days have been. And either way, I mean, the world will move on. But unnamed family friend, I'm not putting a lot of stock in that. I'm also not giving the media 100% credit that they're always right. I can see where there's certainly some things that might have been twisted along the way, but the general basis of the story is pretty clear. The guy was threatening to hold out to the point of not showing up at a practice the day before the spring game, to the point of not then showing up after your head coach is unable to contact you, along with others in the program, unable to contact you the day prior because you're not answering their calls or returning text, and then you are off the team by Saturday. So if it was just a simple thing like, hey, I want more protection, I think Josh Heupel would be open-minded to that. This sounds like total BS and a little bit of damage control. I don't care at this point where he goes. I mean, I'm interested to know. But as far as the finger pointing, I don't care about any of that. It's you're gone. And unless there's some, miracle, and I don't know who it was, somebody floated out, well, what if they apologize? And it's like, nah, I think you're too far down the road at this point to put the genie back in the bottle. Good luck to him. Move on. The media is going to keep chewing it up the more you give them. So family friend needs to shut up, and Nico needs to go make his choice. And you know what he needs to go do is go ball out and shut up everybody. That's how you'll shut up everybody. But this fighting in the media to convince people that you are in the right when it clearly doesn't seem like you were, outside of from a business standpoint, I don't think that's doing anybody any good at this stage.
None of the sources who spoke with Front Office Sports disparaged Maliava. No, I'm going to say it right. I've been getting better at it. I'm sorry I screwed it up the first time. Darren Heitner, who we've had on this show, who's an NIL, he teaches sports law, and he's at the University of Miami. When asked about Nico and the reaction to camp, he goes, oh boy, where do I begin? Overplaying their hand, failing to immediately engage in damage control, completely ignoring the positives of a strong PR strategy. And he went on. And by the way, Christy Dosh talked to him, among a couple of other NIL-type attorneys, agents, etc. And she will join us in about 30 minutes.
I do give you credit. You've been spot on with Ia Maliava until today.
I start looking at this damn cake.
Today, it's just like you can just tell the wheels are spinning a little bit and it's stumbling a little bit. So, yeah, I think Nico might be the preferred. But you've been definitely getting better. I think we've all been able to say his
Maliava.
name. Yeah, correctly a few times where that was an obstacle initially.
It was for me. It's just like the Navy coach who's now at San Jose State. This is from Adam Sparks. He covers Tennessee. It's a pretty good point. The apparent waning interest in Nico Imaliava is not a reflection of his talent. It's a reflection of his price. Schools want the quarterback. They're pulling away because the price is too high. Lower the price and everything changes, but that was the problem at Tennessee as well.
I thought he just wanted offensive linemen.
Yeah.
I thought he just wanted help around him. What happened to that narrative 5 seconds ago? It's not just
Nico. You got to get 5 other guys, 7 other guys, 8 other guys to all come with him that he clearly must have to approve. Because they've gotten off it. Like Tennessee last year in the portal dominated. They got a lot of players in the portal. They got a few good ones in the portal this year. They have the next 10 days to go get some guys. Like, would it surprise me if he was still there to see them go get, the wide receiver from Syracuse or someone like that, or one of these good offensive linemen in the portal if they felt they needed it? No, they're Tennessee. They got money. So again, anytime you try to do damage control and it's not like, look, it's just best for me to leave at this time, then you're making a mistake.
Yeah, next thing you know, we're going to have Nico's father's going to have selected reporters gather in a room with no recorders and no telephones to record you. They can have a private conversation like the other Nico did. I mean, that's where we're headed at this point, to try to spin the narrative. The Duke not contact thing is interesting, especially when all the reporting is about the money and the money not being where it needs to be. So I'm intrigued about where he ends up. I mean, he's still got a lot of potential, and he's clearly got a skill set that made him a flashy, a highly desirable 5-star prospect less than 2 years ago. So, I mean, that didn't go anywhere to my knowledge. So I'm sure somebody's interested, but the do not contact part is interesting. I mean, UCLA seems to be the one school that's kind of remained in the conversation these entire last 3 or 4 days that this has been ongoing. I mean, at this point, that's the most interesting part to me, not what he wanted or what happened or the fallout. I think everybody loves like the dirty details, and all of that will come out in time that hasn't already. Where's he going to play, and why the no contact, and where is the money at this point? But it definitely feels like the money is not where they obviously thought it was going to be when they were kind of pulling these strings behind the scenes. And so I'm glad that gamble on their part didn't exactly pay off, because I don't know that would have been the best thing for college football, as if that would have worked the way that they intended.
All right. One of the notes that I also saw, I didn't put it up on a tweet, I just happened to see this from a guy that's at NIL, a part of the NIL, I guess a collective. 3 things are driving this: continued shakeout of roster limitations. It's talking about the NIL, the portal, the money, and all that. Collective support driven by get in before the House settlement is approved has accelerated front-loaded deals. And then players and agents see all this, and of course they want to try to take advantage of it. I thought that when the $20.5 million revenue sharing is a part of the future, whenever that's approved, that you could also still add to that with NIL money.
You can, to my knowledge. I mean, you can still go get that Snickers commercial or the Oreos or Ford or whatever you can get. I'm pretty sure that was still on the table. They can't curtail that, because then that would be a limitation of the proper term slipping from me here, but I don't think you can put those types of limitations on a person. So that's a lawsuit screaming in your face to occur if you were to do something like that. So I mean, it doesn't solve. It's not like everybody is making the same across the board and they can't make any more. I mean, that would be lawsuits out the wazoo if that happened. So you can. So what's the point of you bringing that up?
No, I was just saying that from a perspective of somebody who's in the middle of it, of why you might see this race for what appeared to be more and more money, and guys wanting to possibly the trend of potential trend of holding out.
Yeah, but I mean, the other stuff is going to be there. Like, I just saw an Arch Manning, he upgraded his Panini sponsorship, and he was doing autographs. I saw some tweet about that earlier today. So all that's still there for the taking. I mean, maybe what they should have done is, if you were really looking for more money and Tennessee's not keen to give it to you, is to work out something with somebody through the NIL arm or a Tennessee-related business that can give you the money that you're looking for ultimately. But I mean, the money is supposed to be, when that begins, coming from the schools, but that's the thing. It's not in play right now. And so, there's a mad dash, as we've seen with Texas Tech. They brought it up themselves. Mm-hmm. They said it in the media of this is all going to get kind of not shut down, but it's going to get, there's more parameters. So right now what everybody's doing is throwing as much money as humanly possible while there are no rules. And they're trying to all do that to the best of their ability before they're not allowed to do that to that extent anymore.
So, whatever extent that is.
And so I think what does make sense about this, and thank you, Nico, for all the spring content, by the way. I mean, my God, we'd be on whatever list we'd be on right now if not for Nico the last few days. But
top 10 long snappers.
Yeah, I do think that's probably something his camp was betting on. Was they were seeing hey, this house settlement isn't passed, but all the talk is before it gets settled, everybody's going to throw as much money as possible and burn it all to get the most that they can before the door closes, so to speak. So I think that's probably where their mind was, as much as anything. That and the leverage of, I'm the starting quarterback. All you have is like a redshirt freshman and a freshman.
Mm-hmm.
We were in the playoffs last year. That defensive run game's probably not going to be what it was. So, like, I'm kind of going to be the guy moving into next year. That on top of this is like the last mad dash for cash before this settlement possibly gets passed. All that together, I can see where they were coming from. I'm like, man, we can hit a big jackpot right here. Just not understanding there's still human beings that are going to help out other human beings and say, hey, man, by the way, your starting quarterback's like out there behind your back, la-di-da-di-dying over this money and trying to make moves behind you. And luckily, that got sniffed out, and that led us to where we are to have this juicy story to talk about.
Guess who's back in the portal? Micah Hudson, stud at Lake Belton High School. I saw him when he was like a freshman or sophomore at a scrimmage, and he looked the part. The colors of the high school were Ohio State colors, and we know their history of wide receivers. And I just said, okay, he's going to end up at Ohio State. Of course, he ends up at Tech, then leaves, goes to A&M, now in the portal. And how much, Garrett, scale of 1 to 10, he ends back up in Lubbock?
I mean, I'd say probably about a 7.
You do?
He had a great relationship
Craig
with
Paul,
that staff.
7, 4, it's what?
I'll put it at a 5 right now because I don't think anybody knows where his head's at.
Okay.
Yeah, I know there's always a market for great players, but I don't know, like a little bit of the blooms off the rose from his 5-star fresh out of high school status. I mean, it's been a very weird journey for him. Where's his personal life that was apparently having some effect on his play? Where's his, whatever it was that was ailing him in Lubbock, and then I guess in College Station for 5 seconds. Is that all taken care of? Is his head in the right place? Like, those are the things I'd want to know before starting to speculate on where he might end up. And I don't think Texas Tech needs to be in any rush to bring him back into the fold until they would be sure about those things, because you don't want a repeat of what happened the first time around. And he's back in the portal this time next year. So, I'd assume because they know him so well that maybe that would be a favorite, but I don't know where his head or where any of that is. So I have no idea on what to expect with Micah Hudson at this point.
Yeah,
this is school number 3, and he hasn't even scored touchdown number 1 yet. So I just wish him the best. I mean, it's a story that you hopefully doesn't become one of just wasted talent and wasted opportunity. And that's what I don't want to be talking about here in a year or two. So hopefully wherever he lands, it's a good spot where he can settle in and actually, do what needs to be done for him and his people and his teammates and all of that. So yeah, that's all I'm hoping for at this point. But I guess Tech was still in the mix because of that prior relationship.
Remember, the final 2 were Texas and Texas Tech. Paxton put that in there. I don't know where he ends up. I
don't think Texas
remember
needs
talking
him.
to Lake Belton coach Brian Cope, and he had spent time around the high school, a little bit back earlier in the winter. What'd you say?
I don't think Texas needs him because they can go out and go grab Matthew Golden Part 2 or, the Stanford receiver, or they can go grab pretty much anybody. I don't think that they need to have Micah Hudson. They can get a million other guys with what Sark does. And I don't know that Texas Tech needs him necessarily. I think they've got pretty good wide receivers, and he hasn't done anything to this point that you go, like, it's not like all the stuff we're basing on was in high school. So I know he's got the ability to be, in people's eyes, a 5-star talent, NFL caliber prospect. But at this point, he's got to show something. So, I don't think Texas needs him whatsoever. I could see where Tech's coming from because of the prior relationship, but I don't think it's like a game changer for them necessarily if they land him again, unless he's able to just put it all behind him and become that guy that people think he can be. So, there's going to be definitely schools interested, no doubt about that.
You know where I think would be a good fit for him because they have a good wide receiver, a great quarterback, is Arizona State. They've got Jordan Tyson on one side. You put him on the other.
If he can start.
Yeah, if he can start.
Yeah.
But, you can move it. If you're Micah Hudson, you either need to go back to Tech where if you feel comfortable and happy there, or you need to go with someone who can help your development. I think the best offensive coach right now, all the way around, is Kenny Dillingham, and so I think that can help you a great deal. Or go find a quarterback who even with 4 receivers makes all of them great. So find a great quarterback to go play with. Do those things. Be out there so you can see that, and maybe that's Baron Morton back at Tech. Maybe that's Sam Levitt. Maybe it's DJ freaking Lagway. I don't know. Go and find the best because the money doesn't need to be the thing right now. He's going to get money. He needs to find a place that's going to make him the best football player.
I don't even know if
is
money even something that he could like. He'll command money because of people.
He's going to get money.
But
I think we're really overblowing him at this point. I mean, he's going to. I don't know. He's going to command money.
No,
like he's going to be worth some money.
Catch a pass.
Yeah.
Start a game.
He'll
score.
That's my point. He's going to get some money, so it's not like he's going to be destitute in the situation. What he needs, like, to get real money, what you need to do is real production and find the place where you can get the best real production. So find the place. Okay, so it wasn't Texas Tech for whatever reason before. It wasn't Texas A&M for whatever reason in the spring here. So if I'm Micah Hudson and I'm going to live up to my 5-star ranking, I am going where a quarterback can make me better. And so start, like, just make the list of the quarterbacks that you like and then start thinking about that.
If those schools like you.
If I had to bet on it, I bet he ends up back at Tech. They just seem like they've been interlinked the entire time. When he left, they were still talking about that. The rumors out there that he's still all about, not the rumor that he's all about Tech, but the speculation is that's where it's heading. So, you know what? They know him. Maybe they can adjust whatever didn't go right the first time. That was a very short stint at A&M. Was the rumors that he got in a fight, and then was already off the team. So, I just want him to go be the prospect and not be like another guy like Jonte Cook or whoever that we're talking about, biggest flameouts that never lived up to their ranking. I don't want to see that for that young man.
Jonte Cook's in the portal. Again, now, one of the things about Micah Hudson, I can share a part of the conversation with his football coach at high school, is that I think that there's another example. I don't know if it's like the Nico thing by any means, but too many people are telling him what to do. Do what you want to do. Yeah, you love your parents, whatever, but do what you want to do. Go where you want to go, and that way it's your decision. If you regret it, it's on you. It's not because you accepted what others wanted you to do. Now, West Virginia.
I have a quick update for what it's worth on Nico. Colin Cowherd, who's never wrong, is saying he's been told that Nico to UCLA is a done deal, with this little kicker, that it wasn't about the money, it was about Tennessee's offense.
Remember what I said? Remember what I said a couple of days ago, and you guys kind of looked at me quizzically about whether or not the Heupel offense at Tennessee, even though there's not much tread to rely on, was good enough or the right offense to get somebody prepared for the NFL. I brought that up. It was in an article. That might just be, okay, let's pick a reason.
So let me throw this out there because Andy Staples is where I saw this, because he retweeted it and said, okay, they knew that Josh Heupel was going to be the coach in December. Right? They knew he was going to be the coach in December. They knew the OC was going to be Joe Halsell in December. So if they're doing this in April and going to UCLA, UCLA's offensive coordinator has called how many plays at the college level?
I'm going to guess none.
None.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about here?
Yeah, that sounds more like a decision you make when you're in the recruiting process, not one you make when you've just made the playoff and you are the starting quarterback at one of the biggest schools in the country. That seems like a valid excuse if it would have been out there from the beginning. I can see that to an extent. I think to make it this much of a situation, though, I don't know. I'm not buying that much. But
again, this comes from Colin Cowherd, who on these things is
very hit or miss.
Is very hit or miss.
All right, okay. West Virginia, new coach, Rich Rod. 30 players are in the portal. He, of course, has brought in a bunch from where he was at Jacksonville State, and elsewhere. But there's 30 players. That probably ends up being 40. I don't know. But a number we mentioned, a mass changeover, which you see in college football when there is a coaching change, or not, by the way. South Dakota offensive lineman. This is Joe Cotton. I have a sheet of paper here with me. He has already gotten interest from Alabama, Cal, Cincinnati, Colorado, Florida, Michigan, Louisville, K-State, Kansas, Iowa, Georgia Tech, Ole Miss, Oklahoma State, Penn State, Purdue, Syracuse, Maryland, USC, UCF, South Carolina, Baylor, Missouri, Vanderbilt, West Virginia, Wisconsin. He might not end up at any of those, but he does have what appears to be a really good list to look at on where he may go next.
Well, I think he's the best offensive lineman.
He's got hook 'em horn showing right now.
At the SCS,
it's going to be USF, right, or Texas because of the hook 'em horn sign.
Yeah, we'll see.
He has set visits at Wisconsin and Cincinnati, at least as of now.
Yeah, actually, I think, especially given if I'm him, not to knock Cincinnati, like those are two good offenses for him to go in because of the way that they attack the offensive line. But Wisconsin, especially going back to the old way they used to do it, which is, they tried the little spread offense thing, and now they're going to go back to big offensive linemen, big running backs.
And running backs that go to the NFL.
Yeah.
Right? Very, very good. Now, one basketball note. I know there's other guys visiting various campuses. Happened yesterday evening. I watched Dan Skillings when he was a sophomore at one of the first games ever played at the Foster Pavilion. May have been the first conference game played there. He visited Baylor yesterday and committed to Scott Drew yesterday. He will join us live sometime in the 5 o'clock hour. Very lengthy. He's a slasher. I thought he had a little bit too much hero ball when I saw him as a sophomore, but I thought he was their best, not offensive weapon because they had some big dudes too, but I kind of liked him. Had no idea where he ended up. I wished he could have stayed at Cincinnati, but a nice pickup because Scott Drew needs bodies.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll see. I'm not the basketball guy, but I saw some Cincinnati fans that didn't seem too upset by his departure. He seemed to carve out at least some portion of the fan base that were not big fans for whatever reason. So hopefully Scott Drew can, clean up or not clean up, but get out the best of him that is there to be, derived and like he did when, Bridges came over from West Virginia. There's a lot of West Virginia fans that weren't exactly in love with Bridges by the time he left. He came over to Baylor, had a great experience. So maybe it's similar to that. And there's also sour grapes, always when guys move. But that was the initial reaction I saw was some Cincinnati fans are like, thank God. So I'm going to trust Baylor staff and their evaluations here, and a change of scenery can always do somebody good. So, welcome to Waco, Dan Skillings.
Not a big score, 9 points, 4 boards, and 1.5 assists and steals per game or so. But he is a slasher. He's probably going to play on the edge, a wing. I liked what I saw and thought he was their best player as far as that particular game. Now, we have Sheil Wood, the defensive coordinator from Texas Tech, by the way. He's coming up next. Did you want to add something else to the mix?
I was just going to throw in on Skillings. I think he can be that kind of player. I think he's an upgrade from a guy who played really hard and played well in spots, and Jalen Celestine. I think he's an upgrade in that regard to that role. And Jalen Bridges is a nice comp, too.
Jalen Bridges is a great comp, Craig. Yeah. I'm glad you brought it up. He is, because I thought the Celestine was more of just if he shot it, that's good, but he didn't.
But
seem to do much
they want
else.
a 3-and-D wing, and that's what they hope Skillings can be. So,
all right. Anyone else? Paul, I'm going to light your candle when we come back so we can have this thing and you can cut it up and give pieces to Garrett because he'll steal part of it on the way home anyway. When we come back, I think
Garrett's probably fine on bunt cake given that his daughter works there. I think he's probably pretty okay.
Too many. Yeah.
Well, I wish I would have known. I would have asked for her. I would have I can't give her a tip.
Price, yeah.
Can you text her and see if she was there when this
She's
guy
at
came?
School. She's off till tomorrow.
Oh, okay. We'll come back. It'll be near the 4 o'clock hour. I had Emery was a part of this, an interview with Sheil Wood, the defensive coordinator who was at Houston. I asked him about he was at Tulane with Willie Fritz, Houston with Willie Fritz, and who's got more energy, he or Joey McGuire, and what he needs done. What are the expectations? His time in Lubbock, which has been, the last 3.5, 4 months or so? 5? This with Sheil Wood, Texas Tech defensive coordinator, is next on 365 Sports. Petty Clinic, lowt.com. Dr. Kent Petty can help you become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, used to be. As you get older, maybe closing in on 40, maybe as old as Paul, you could have testosterone drop. That's part of, you just happen to be the one picked. 1 out of every 3 to 4 men have symptomatic issues of low testosterone, and Dr. Petty can increase it if your levels are too low. Go to pettycliniclowt.com, email them, call them, tell them I sent you. And if you've had anything that's just not quite the same as you get older, you maybe need a power nap extra once or twice a week, or you just don't feel right. ED, sex drive low, whatever. It can affect you. Dr. Petty can set you up. With getting your blood work, He pays for that, takes care of that, looks at the levels, and if it's a level that's low, he could put you in a program to increase your testosterone level so you could become the high-performance man that you want to be, need to be, and used to be at pettycliniclowt.com.
Is on at Allen Samuels in Waco. Get the 2024 Ram 3500 diesel 4x4 for just $56,800, or drive home a 2025 Ram 1500 for only $35,900. Big trucks, big savings, only at Allen Samuels in Waco.
I'll never get used to this.
Whatever it is you wrangle, whatever seeds you sow, no matter what you nurture or what you choose to grow, at Texas Farm Bureau Insurance, we're proud to protect all Texans.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow at GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
The Jeep Celebration event is on at Allen Samuels. Get the luxurious 2024 Jeep Grand Wagoneer with a huge $13,000 dealer discount plus 0% financing. Big savings, legendary Jeeps at Allen Samuels in Waco.
Come by, let's be friends.
This is 365 Sports.
The 3 o'clock hour is sponsored by Waco Custom Marketplace. Meats, sweets, Texas treats, and a cut above the rest. 425 Lake Air Drive, Waco.
Texas Tech defensive coordinator Sheil Wood with me. David Smoak, 365 Sports, as spring football winding down in various ways throughout the country, including in Lubbock, Texas. Who has the highest energy meter if it was something we could measure, you or Joey?
Coach McGuire.
Oh, really?
He is
yeah.
He is a high energy guy every day. He takes he has different hats that he wears to practice, and he has a piece of tape that he puts on top of the bill, and he writes something with a Sharpie every day. And most of the time he wears the one that says energy on it.
Yep. Well, I saw the one when you guys were practicing in the snow about a week or so ago, and he was talking about the game in Morgantown. And so there's always a message. What is your message to your defense? What do you have slogans or mottos or anything like that?
I don't know that we necessarily have kind of that one slogan that a lot of folks adhere to or come up with necessarily. I think the biggest thing from a philosophical standpoint that we're trying to get embedded in our guys right now is their desire to play really hard and practice really hard. Whatever we do on the practice field, we believe that's what's going to show up on the game field, whether that's good, bad, or indifferent. And we're trying to get our guys to be the hardest playing football team in the country. And to do that will not be easy, but we're trying to get our guys to train themselves to practice really hard every day so that they know when it comes to game day, they'll be able to play extremely hard. And if we're playing really hard, then that'll make up for mistakes or, missed assignments or missed tackles. And that'll give us a chance to hopefully lay a foundation to where, we'll just keep getting better each and every day.
Have you ever had a player in your coaching career who was not a good practice player, but was a great game player, in-game player? Nope.
I mean, every once in a while, a blind squirrel will find a nut, and a guy that will make a play maybe you haven't seen him make. But the reality of it is that every great player, in my opinion, is a great player because of how they prepare. And the flipping a switch on game day is a myth. In terms of, being able to be a gamer or turn it on. Again, you can find instances of an individual that'll have that one play here or there. But, whatever you do on the practice field day in and day out, how you prepare, how you meet, how you focus, how you learn your assignment, those are the things that are going to help you win in the stressful environments that you're going to find on game day when it's crunch time.
When we've seen coaching changes or coordinator changes or position coach changes, I've heard this more often lately, and curious about you, that some coaches did not want to watch film prior to when they arrived to not worry about getting bad habits or whatever, developing maybe an idea of a player. How did you handle that when you came in?
Every job that I've taken, I want to familiarize myself with the personnel. So the ability to and sometimes even as you're deciding whether there's a job, if you have an opportunity, whether that's an opportunity that you're interested in or not, I think familiarizing yourself with the organization, and that includes the players that are going to be playing for you on game day and playing for the team, just seeing what their skill sets are, where you have some challenges maybe, and just familiarizing yourself in my role with what our guys can do, what they can do well, where they can fit best within the scheme of the defense, identifying those traits and skills and be able to maximize their ability to help us win football games. Those are the things that are important to me coming into a new opportunity to join a new organization. But from there, I'm not really interested in, how guys were coached in the past or the schemes they played. It's more about what they can do and what they have the ability to grow and do. And, when you're looking at all those things, you get a taste of it, but you don't really know for sure until you get here and you have time to spend with them and coach them on the grass and in meetings and all those types of things. But trying to familiarize yourself with the skills that you have and the potential and start trying to put those pieces in place to the best of your ability. The sooner you can do that, I think gives you the best chance to start building things quickly.
There's a reason you're there because of what you bring to the table, and also as a defensive coordinator, your history. When transfers come in now, especially with the new coordinator, does that make it easier? Is that complicated, and do you bring in a transfer if you don't think they can start, or are there some pieces to help add depth?
Well, James Blanchard is our general manager, and he really puts our roster together through high school recruiting and then supplementing that with the transfer portal as we need. I think that it's just a case-by-case scenario based on where we're at any point in time and kind of how Coach McGuire and James, in coordination with myself and our defensive staff, just communicate on a variety of different topics. And, there's no blueprint on the best way to handle, using the transfer portal to help build your roster. And I think you just have to take it as you go. And every day's a new day in that regard. And, certainly as the portal opens and you have guys that maybe end up leaving your roster, whether you see that coming or not, you just have to adjust and adapt. And it's the world that we live in. And, you have to continue to evolve. You have to evolve schematically in the game of football in terms of, how you can attack people, how you can get up to speed on matching numbers. You have to evolve on how you handle your roster, recruit, all those things. And if you don't do a great job, somebody else will be there to kind of catch up to you or get in the lead. So that's what we try to do, I think, and recruiting and transfer portal is no different.
What was the most you got defensive line, linebackers, defensive backs. What do you think was the biggest need filling up this particular team on defense?
Oh, I think there were probably areas of every level of defense where supplementing the roster that was here at the end of last season with some guys coming in were things that needed to take place. I think we've added some difference makers at each level of the defense, whether that's with the front, the second or the third level. I think that we've added depth, and in the Big 12 to play a 12-game, Big 12 regular season schedule with the hopes and aspirations of playing postseason play. You need to have that quality depth because you need to be able to roll guys. Certainly bumps and bruises are going to happen along the way. So all those things you take into consideration. So I don't know that I would pinpoint any one area. I think there was just, supplementation at every level of defense. And I think that the guys that we've brought into our team have been great teammates, really high character individuals that have bought into the culture that Coach McGuire has established here. That's been great to see. I think that the guys that were returning off of last year's team have embraced and welcomed those new individuals, whether they were high school recruits or transfer portals, players that came in from another school. They've done a great job of embracing those guys and, building a sense of brotherhood and bond. And it's been a great spring for us because of all that.
One of your reputations is being as detailed in your installs and plans as anyone. In fact, Joey McGuire says detailed as anyone I've ever been around, and he's been around a long, long time. Where did that come from? Was that something you learned from another coach, or was that just something you picked up along the way with your experience?
I would say everything that, that I am is because of the great coaches that I've learned from and coached under throughout the years. I think that Nate Woody's a guy that I coached with for a long time. And, the system that we're running kind of comes out of his tree, so to speak. And certainly we've tried to evolve it and adapt it as we go. And everybody puts their own, their own spin on what they're doing from a coaching standpoint. But, we just try to do a good job of crossing every T and dotting every I. I think that, one of the things from my standpoint in my role, I want to do a great job of not micromanaging, allowing our coaches to coach, but trying to do a great job of setting up the framework to where our coaches can get on the same page, understand what we want to get done, and then being very organized and efficient. The more efficient we can be, the more productive we're going to be. We want to use the resources that we have with our coaching staff, our support staff, to maximize our ability to be effective in our individual roles and then our collective role of trying to get this defense to be the best that we can be. So I think every offseason you're looking to evolve the schemes that you run, and you're looking to evolve your ability to maximize your efficiency and organization, because that's just going to help everybody. And then, the more you can have clearly defined roles, I believe, to where guys can take ownership, as coaches and their role within what you're doing. I think that promotes, just a good atmosphere of teamwork and togetherness. And those things are the things that are going to help you win, be successful.
Sheil Wood, defensive coordinator, Texas Tech. You look at, you're in the office and what they have built there, all the facilities and all the things that have been put into making Tech bigger, better, faster, stronger, beautiful, etc. You didn't go through some of that, what they had before. Do you feel like you kind of arrived on Christmas Day with the opening of all what they've done with the athletic complex?
It's funny that you bring that up. When I drove out here in December, I arrived on a Sunday. It was bowl prep going on. I want to say it was around December 10th, that, give or take a day, but whatever that Sunday was. And that Sunday, they had a team meet. I didn't get out here. I didn't get in the office till Monday, but I drove out, got into Lubbock late on that Sunday evening. Well, that Sunday night, Maybe around 7:00, they had a team meeting, and that was kind of the official unveiling of the Womble Center, I believe, which has kind of been a slow rollout. But officially, they showed the locker room to the guys that night, I believe, and some of the other parts of the Womble Center. And so, that Monday when I came in the office for the first time was really kind of the first day where everything was quote unquote open, I think. And I just remember walking in, and Ryan Connery, who's special teams analyst for us and was a defensive analyst at the time last year, kind of got me in the building and showed me around. I just was just amazed. I knew that the facility was new, and I had done some research on the internet, and I couldn't really find any pictures. And I understand now why, because everything was being completed and under construction. So I didn't know what to expect when I got out here and I walked through this facility. It's just unbelievable. And I think everybody that's had a chance to come through here over the course of the spring and see it for the first time has been pretty amazed. And we're certainly blessed to have tremendous support. And with Coach McGuire's leadership, Kirby Hocuts, they did a tremendous job, and others, obviously, with Cody Campbell and Dustin Womble putting this whole project together. It benefits our coaches and our players, and it's unbelievable facility.
Sheil, one or two more questions. What was Joey's pitch to you other than we need to get better across the board and statistically, results on the field, red zone defense, whatever? What was his pitch to you? What did he need?
I think the biggest thing that I was excited about in conversations with him was just where the program was at that point in time and the success that he had in his first 3 years here, and his vision for things moving forward, the support of the school in terms of the facility, the vision that, the athletic director, Kirby Hocutt, and Coach McGuire had for where the program was and where it was headed, and the ability to come in here and have a legitimate opportunity to compete for a Big 12 championship this season. That's something that was really intriguing to me and very exciting, because at the end of the day, if you can win the championship, you get in that playoff, and that's what you want to be able to do, because once you get in the playoff, anything can happen. And so with the program where it's at, and the continued improvements that we're looking to make, we're excited about the season ahead.
What was how was the conversation with Willie Fritz when you told him you were leaving? Because I know he loved you, man. I mean, he mentioned it was a great business decision for you and they could only do so much. But what was that like, saying that, hey, I'm leaving? Is that hard?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a ton of respect for Coach Fritz. I worked for him for 2 years at Tulane, and he was gracious enough to offer me the opportunity to come with him to the University of Houston when he transitioned there as the head coach. And I learned a ton from him of positive things that I'll carry with me the rest of my coaching and professional career. He treats people the right way. He's a good man. And he's a very experienced head coach and has had a ton of success. So leaving him and leaving that opportunity and those players and the people on staff that I consider friends today, that's always a difficult thing, but sometimes you just have to just have to make the decisions that you feel like are, the best for your professional career and for your family. And certainly this opportunity to come here was something that my wife and our two daughters were extremely fired up about. Coach McGuire has been phenomenal. The onboarding process here has been phenomenal. The staff here, the players, everybody that we met in the Lubbock community has just made us feel so welcome. And we are extremely, extremely excited to be at Texas Tech in Lubbock, Texas. Love the community and are excited about the season ahead.
And the last thing, you mentioned family. You walked away from coaching as your wife went into medical residency, which says a lot about you, and also knowing her career is important as well. Did you, when you were away for 2 or 3 years, did it make you love coaching even more, or did it help you refresh? What was that like for you?
Well, it was an interesting, season, I guess, of my life and for our family, and never something that I never would have envisioned. It's amazing how life just takes you down different paths and different opportunities. And, the good Lord, you just got to put your faith in him and take things one day at a time. And for us at that point in time, just for a variety of different reasons, it was the right thing for me to pause on my coaching career to help support my wife in her professional career. And then, just having our first child at the time and just some of the challenges that come along with that, in particular, as it pertains to two professionals working in a, high-paced, high workload environment. If I had tried to continue coaching at that point in time, and as new parents, you don't know what you're getting into. And so you started getting into it. I think everybody that has children can probably attest to that. So it was probably a thing for me that I look back on and was one of the best things and best decisions I ever made in my life. I knew that I wanted to get back into coaching when the time was right. I didn't know what that would look like and what form or shape that would take and if that would work out, but I'm blessed that it did. And, Mike Ayers, my head coach that I played for and coached for Wofford, was the coach that gave me the opportunity to come back and actually step back into the same job that I'd left nearly 3 years prior to that. So, and then from there, it's just been a series of great opportunities and great places to work, and has led us to where we sit today. So,
yeah. And she's a hell of an athlete too. Played soccer. You were a football player. And so who's the better athlete now?
Well, she was the better athlete then, and she continues to be the better athlete now. So
I know.
no debating that in our household.
Very smart. Hey, man, thanks for your time, Jill. Continued luck the rest of the spring and into the first year there, and good luck with you and Tech. Thanks for your time. We appreciate it.
Thanks, David. I appreciate it.
Jill Wood, Texas Tech defensive coordinator, with me, 365 Sport. And around the corner, Amanda Kristovich will join us on her story involving all of the stuff with Nico Iamaleava and Tennessee and much more. That, plus we'll hear from Baylor transfer basketball player Dan Skilling, who was at Cincinnati the last couple of years. Easter weekend is coming up, and the Baylor Club inside McLean Stadium off I-35, a mile or so away from where we are. If you have friends, family, whoever coming to town for Easter weekend, skip the cooking. Allow the great staff, the chefs, and more at the Baylor Club to do all of that for you. For example, in addition, smoked prime rib special on Saturday, brand new dinner menu, Chef Lee bringing back the beloved mint lemon rack of lamb, perfectly paired with bordelaise sauce, garlic mashed potatoes, charred rainbow carrots. That is coming, and carrot cake too, coming up on Saturday evening, 5 until 8. And you could also have them cook for you, by the way. If you want the traditional meal, you go and enjoy it at the Baylor Club. It's $185, and you get all of this. Fresh fruit salad, mixed green salad, ranch and champagne vinaigrette, rustic Italian loaf, lemon green beans and feta, hash brown casserole, quiche Lorraine, sliced honey glazed ham, chicken francesa, is that what it is called, Paul? And pecan pie. Got to say pecan pie, not pecan pie. That's the way I say it. The Baylor Club, all of that for Easter weekend for you. Either they cook it for you, you go eat it there inside McLean Stadium, I-35 in Waco.
Let Camille Johnson Realtors guide you seamlessly through the process of buying your dream home or selling your current one. Commercial, farm and ranch, or residential, Camille Johnson Realtors can smoothly and successfully lead you through any transaction. With a team of 28 experienced agents who are excited about serving you, Camille Johnson Realtors services the entire greater Waco area. If you're in the market to buy or sell, contact Camille Johnson Realtors, 104 Midway Center in Woodway, or find them online at www.camillejohnson.com. Camille Johnson Realtors, elegant, charming, warm. Welcome home.
pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Don's Humidor, your home with a 48-foot walk-in humidor with the elite cigar brands from around the world, including the #1 cigar of the year, Aging Room Cuatro Nicaragua. Plus, they have the great brands like Macanudo and Arturo Fuente, Rocky Patel, Aston, and so much more. CBD, great for sore muscles, aches and pains, sleep, Vita Dreams, and anxiety, mild depression, general health and wellness. Their staff very knowledgeable on the subject. Don's Humidor in the Townwest Shopping Center off Valley Mills in Waco.
Ready to take your business to the next level? Carrion Solutions has got you covered. We deliver world-class IT consulting, including Quest On Demand and Migration Manager, M365 and Exchange migrations, Active Directory assessments, security hardening, and Windows Server upgrades. Our experts specialize in consulting, monitoring, support, and managed IT services. We promise vision, professionalism, and unbeatable value. Satisfaction guaranteed. If you're not happy, we make it right. Remember the name Carrion Solutions. For more info, email sales@carrionsolutions.com or visit carrionsolutions.com. That's CARRION solutions.com. Carrion Solutions, IT success guaranteed.
At Ideal MRI, we feel blessed to be part of the Waco community. We're a small family business here in Central Texas. At times like this, the cost of healthcare has never been more important. And unfortunately, significant illnesses and injuries still occur. And that's why Ideal MRI is open and here to serve you through this difficult time. So if you need an MRI, ask your doctor about Ideal MRI. You can schedule online in minutes at idealmri.com or call 833-IDEAL-MRI.
This is 365 Sports. Text us at 254-339-1122. The text line is sponsored by Riverbend's Liquor and Wine, with the most extensive variety of craft beer in Waco. A hidden gem on Lakeshore Drive and 19th Street.
Man, I'm glad we got a chance to start watching what Amanda Kristovich was doing during so many of college football's stories, including, of course, the settlement and now the Nico Iamaleava story. She did a great inside story on that, including some sources within the camp of Nico. Amanda, great to see you again. Thank you very much for your time. Did they reach out to you or did you find them?
Great question. I reached out to them. I actually was interested in doing a story about what actually folks in Congress were thinking on this question of whether or not there should be federal agent restrictions and regulation in the wake of this story. And my editor kind of said, well, if we're going to do that, we're sort of implying something negative about Nico's camp. So let's reach out to him for comment. So that's what I did, not expecting to hear anything back. And his handler got on the phone with me for like close to an hour. And then, I heard later in the day, he was on the circuit trying to basically talk to any reporter who would listen.
So, Amanda, the things that we've heard thrown about, like it's not about money. Now Colin Cowherd's reporting it's about the offense. Did it feel like damage control a little bit to you? Because if it's not about any of that, then what's it about? Like in the offense thing really doesn't make sense given they've known who the coach is going to be for 5 months.
Yeah. I mean, look, that was part of the playbook. I think that they had with what they told me, which was not the offense, but specifically, specific parts of the offense. They wanted a better offensive line. They wanted a better arsenal of receivers, and that, didn't seem to be materializing. And they made it, the handler was very clear to me. He was like, it had nothing to do with money. We didn't even negotiate. We didn't even ask for a raise. Look, this is a he said, she said, but multiple people told me that was a lie. Multiple people. Okay. So, maybe it wasn't the only reason. Maybe, the roster construction was played a role, but ultimately multiple people said that Nico's camp asked for a raise during the winter portal opening, and that the collective attempted to be amenable to at least give counter offers, and that Nico's camp was unresponsive, and they were didn't really seem willing to have legitimate conversations. And that when last week rolled around, the collective wasn't sure if he was staying or going. The school wasn't sure if he was staying or going, because, they hadn't heard, concretely either way. And so I think this semantics this game that his handler tried to play with me about, well, we didn't have any negotiations last week, so that report from On3 was a lie. I don't think it was a lie, because if you want to argue you didn't answer the phone or get on the phone on Wednesday or Thursday, that doesn't mean that you didn't ask for more money, and it doesn't mean that you didn't tell that you told your collective and the people on the other side of the table that you were okay with what you currently had.
So, Amanda, the article is very well worth reading for anybody who hasn't checked it out. And you mentioned this in the article, but who are his representatives? Who are these people when you talk about – because it's weird to hear college football handlers and this, but that's where we are now, right? So this isn't Lee Steinberg. This isn't Drew Rosenhaus. Who are these people that you're talking to and representing Nico in all of this?
So Nico's father, Nick, nicknamed Big Nick, he's not the only person. He's not the sole decision maker, but the buck stops with him, is what I was told. Then there is this coach named Cordell Landers, who used to work for the University of Florida and who was fired for an NCAA investigation, was my understanding. And he's based in California. And there's a lawyer who's also kind of in this group who I had never heard of before. None of them, as far as I understand it, are certified agents in any sense of the word. And, look, another source of mine called Cordell Landers a, quote, street agent. And there are lots of these folks who, some of them have ill intentions, some of them don't have ill intentions, but they just give bad advice. I'm not really interested in kind of trying to talk about what the intentions of these folks are. I would imagine Nico's dad wants what's best for him, but these are not professionals. And clearly they have steered him into a situation where, I'm working on confirming this UCLA report.
Mm-hmm.
But actually I have a text right now.
Yeah. You can take a second to look at it. Go ahead.
No,
we're good.
Nothing new, but what I have is that, look, UCLA was pursuing him, and the number is low that they're willing to offer or capable of offering is lower than what he was making at Tennessee. So clearly they've steered him into a situation that just isn't as good. And I'm saying that as a UCLA fan. My mom went there. I'm from LA. I love UCLA, but come on, guys, like you can't argue that they have sent him into a better situation.
What do you think, and this is a hypothetical, if you had a chance to talk to Nico, what do you think he would tell you if he could be honest about it?
That's a really tough question, because I have personally never spoken with him. I have heard only the nicest things about him.
Mm-hmm.
I have only ever heard, that the biggest criticism anyone could make of him is that, maybe he's overslept and missed an NIL event or two, which, is that responsible? No, but have we all done that as teenagers? Have we all overslept and missed things? Sure. I think he would say that he is just focused on being a quarterback, and he doesn't, he leaves everything else to the people that he trusts. And I think that's unfortunate, because the people he trusts don't seem to be steering him in the right direction. Amanda
Kristovich, Front Office Sports, with us on 365 Sports.
Yeah, multiple people reporting the UCLA thing now, Amanda, that's where it's going to go. And that's just, it's very interesting and kind of poses the larger question over what should parents' roles be in this. I get once you're trying to get your kid signed and get your kid in college, because at that point, in most instances, they're a minor or they've just, become a legal adult. But once you're in, like, what should the role really be?
I mean, look, I can't speak for, any particular parent, but here's the thing. There's nothing precluding a parent from being at the table with the player, with the player's agent, with the player's lawyer. The issue for the parent is not that the parent is in the room, it's that the parent is calling the shots, and that the parent has given the power to frankly, somebody who does not have a good reputation in the industry, who is not a part of a reputable agency. And by the way, not every agent part of a well-known or reputable agency is a good agent, right? I'm not saying that. But really the question is, if you're a parent, you need to be vetting the people who are going to be helping you do these negotiations. And, Cordell Landers and Big Nick have been friends since the 10th grade. But that doesn't, I have friends since I was in high school. That doesn't mean that I would sign up to let them negotiate the rest of my life, Right. I mean, so I think the role of the parent needs to be helping to vet who is going to represent the player in making these decisions and who is going to advise them and who is going to be the legal counsel. In this instance, unfortunately, the role of the parent has extended far beyond that. First of all, being one of the negotiators themselves, and second of all, have entrusted folks who, again, are just clearly not qualified to steer a great quarterback who has NFL potential.
So, Amanda, the only two ways the sport really changes, antitrust exemption or what's the alternative? The collective bargaining agreement, right? I mean, that's the only things that can really change anything here. But do you feel like this is a turning point? A lot of people wanted to point to that on Friday, like this is the change that we needed to kind of rebalance college sports. Do you feel that way? Do you think this makes a big dent in the big picture, or is it just the same old, and just a fun tale?
I don't think it makes a dent at all, at least from the on the congressional level. It doesn't make a dent at all. It doesn't mean it's not a conversation. It doesn't mean that it's not something that will be pointed to as a reason why agent regulation, whether agent regulation equals federal legislation or antitrust exemption to give the NCAA the power to do that regulation, or it means collective bargaining and then the union can set those standards. Like, again, I don't think this is going to affect that debate either way. But as we've talked about on this show a lot, Congress has got a lot going on. And even though this is the biggest story for us right now, it doesn't even crack the top 10 for Congress. And the folks that I have spoken with in Congress do not, seem, I haven't gotten a chance to speak to a lot of them because I've been working on the story, but they didn't give me an indication that this was going to speed up the process in any way, shape, or form from their perspective.
Craig Bull from the AFCA, the American Football Coaches Association, his office is like a mile and a half from where we are here in Waco. And he mentioned when he released a statement, I think it was on Friday or whenever it was, about making sure college football gets certified agents. Would that have taken care of this problem a little bit or helped this problem out?
It's hard to say because on the one hand, if you have to have a certified agent in order to sign an agreement, whether that be because of a federal law or an NCAA rule, then I think technically, yes, if these agents couldn't get certified for one reason or another because of their reputation or lack of credentials, etc. But on the other hand, it's my understanding that like in the NFL, you're allowed to represent yourself or have a parent represent you if you so choose. And the federal bill that addresses this issue that is currently in the one that they're currently talking about in Congress would only require that if you don't have a registered agent, your agent is your agent notifies you or your legal guardian, and you all sign off that that person can represent you even though they're not certified. It doesn't prevent them from representing you. So in this case, I don't think it would have saved Nico.
Amanda, this is one of the things I wonder, like eventually, when we get to, because we're going to get to collective bargaining eventually, because it's and maybe an antitrust exemption like the NFL has, and they have all that. I wonder if the NFLPA and college football create some sort of partnership so that, like, if you're vetted by the NFLPA, then you can also be certified by that group as well, and that's who you should be using as opposed to, street agents or whatever.
I think that makes a lot of sense. I do remember kind of at the beginning of the NIL era that there was some push to allow folks who weren't able to be certified by the NFLPA to represent players because of the stringent guidelines and what degrees you have to have. And I frankly don't cover the NFL on a daily basis, so I don't remember the specifics. But it was kind of like a fair market argument that you could, that we shouldn't restrict the representation and, at this point. But clearly, I've been told that this story is a dime a dozen. That's the other important thing here, right? Nico's not the only one. He's not the first and he's not the last. He might just be the most high profile and the one whose street agent is cool with getting on the phone with me and every other national college football reporter out there, whether we, write about what they say or not. So I think that there has to be some sort of regulation going forward. And I can't imagine that it would be a bad thing to at least start with, help, having the NFLPA help them. But this isn't even just a football issue is the other thing. It's a basketball issue too. So, this is an issue that if you are an entity like the NCAA and you claim to care so much about college athletes, this should be number one on your priority list.
Amanda, thank you very much for all of what you do. We kind of mixed in, well, obviously the story with Nico, but all the other stuff that's going on in the House settlement and just college athletics. You probably never, I think I asked you this one time, when you got into this, you ever thought you would have so many of these type of stories? Although they're going to be legal stories, it just seems like it's every day.
Yeah, no, I come from a family of lawyers, and they said, why don't you go to law school, Amanda? I said, no, I want to be a journalist. I want to cover sports. It's going to be a lot more fun. Joke's on me, right?
Yeah, you're right. Thank you very much. Appreciate your time. Amanda Kristovich joins us from Front Office Sports on 365 Sports. And now, Paul, you mentioned that Colin Cowherd had the note that he was headed to UCLA. Other national outlets and the chat rooms talking about it, that he will end up at UCLA. And so
Bruce Feldman was confirmed the report from Colin Cowherd, although I will say I trust things that Bruce says over Colin, way more.
Well, he does a show in LA. But he does. You don't know.
I think he's like half in LA. I don't listen anymore. Haven't for a long time. I think he's like half in Chicago now too, right? Like he's kind of 1 foot in, 1 foot the other place. Regardless, I mean, he does have his own sources. He's been around a long time, so he was right. I mean, say whatever you want to. He was right.
Yeah.
And everybody's confirming his report. So. He deserves credit for that, and it looks they've already got the photoshops going, and him in a UCLA uniform, and it looks sharp. And I've seen Stuart Mandel did like a cost of living comparison of like the amount of money it takes to go from Knoxville to Westwood, and to maintain your style of living. If you were making 2.2, which was reportedly what he was making, you would need to make 3.8 to maintain your style of living in Brentwood, Westwood, LA, wherever he decides to plant his feet. But we'll see what the money looks like if those reports get out there. I mean, they hired Indiana's OC, which ran a pro style offense this offseason. They obviously had a lot of success making the playoff and whatnot. As far as that narrative, you can still, I guess, kind of lean into that. I don't buy it for a single second that was a driving reason, but he is going to an offense that had a lot of success last year, that runs the ball, has a good line of scrimmage, that kind of deal. So we'll see how effective it is for Deshaun Foster in year 2. They missed a bowl game last year. So they'll try to get back in the postseason. And there will be a lot of eyes on them that otherwise wouldn't be, because I know we're doing like these schedule look-ins and everything. We haven't got around to the Big Ten. UCLA was probably going to be the first time we talked about them and the last time we talked about them for the most part, outside of just some big story. Well, here's the big story. Now everybody, much like North Carolina hiring Bill Belichick, there will be many more eyes now on UCLA football in 2025 as a result of this, for better or worse.
All right, Mike Jones saying, and I don't know if he's actually directing this at everyone in the chat or maybe just those who do shows in particular. What happened? I thought you guys said he wasn't going to get paid. He lasted a matter of hours in the portal. Always bet on yourself. Watching every sports analyst have to say they were wrong is going to be hilarious. I will bet a body part that we never said that he wasn't going to get paid.
But he's not getting paid at UCLA what he was getting paid at Tennessee. They don't have that kind of NIL money to throw around. All the reporting has been that no matter what, he's going to take a pay cut. And I'm glad you brought that up. Mike Jones.
Who?
Thank you.
Well, I mean.
But Stuart Mandel just tweeted this out. And I know that I sent it to you guys to do a graphic. But he just put in, there's a little internet engine that does this. City you're moving from, Knoxville, Tennessee, to Los Angeles, and your current income, which
he just said that.
Literally just said that.
Okay,
before he would need to make $3.8 million
And Kyle Visser, which body part? All of them are broken these days for me. So I don't know about it. And Mike, I'm glad you're happy about Nico. I'm happy for Nico that he found a place to play, and hopefully his career will continue to take off as however long he is at UCLA and in college football.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, good for Nico. Go out and prove it. So thanks, Big Nick. I mean, Mike Jones for the message right there.
All right.
Yeah, look, to think that you're going to be better off at UCLA financially and success-wise right now, I mean, look, they backed themselves into this corner and they could PR their way out all they want, but the proof is going to be the pudding at UCLA. I mean, that's just going to be what it is. I mean, and to think that you are in any way better off as a football program at UCLA than you are at Tennessee, then you don't know anything about how football works, because UCLA, I'm going to break it to you, as a football program over their history, sucks. They suck. They've never done anything of note. They suck.
They've always been, they've had some at times, but
I mean, look, let's just let the season play out. I mean, he just decided and made up his mind. Good for him. I mean, everybody.
That was one of the reported places, right?
Everybody could. It was the reported place the entire time. So yeah, like I don't care about their history. Like if he goes and wins 10 games, then we're going to replay this, and you're going to have to eat those words. And if he goes and they fail to make a bowl game for the second year in a row, then there will be a lot of other people that poo-poo all over him. I don't care, man. I found the story interesting, but I'm not like rooting for his failure. I'm not rooting for his success. I'm just a college football fan.
Rooting for his failure, Craig.
Paul, chill, man. I'm not talking about you specifically, man. Relax a little bit. I'm not rooting for his failure or for his success. I'm just a college football fan that's going to sit back and see where the ride takes us. I didn't expect to take this ride and have this whole story these last few days. Has been very interesting. And so I'm hoping the next chapter is as interesting to some extent. And it's not just, nothingness, but yeah, it won't be nothingness because clearly people are going to eat it up either way.
I mean, you don't have to shit on my opinion though either. This is it's a crazy situation. I'm saying it's a crazy situation, and that he's kind of burned himself. I think I don't root for his downfall or anything like that. I know you said you didn't say that, but this is not a good football decision. It's not a good business decision. It's bad all the way around.
Okay, I'm not talking about your sole opinion. Okay. You need to relax, man. Honestly. I'm saying in general, as I typically speak, that there are people who are rooting for his downfall. Are there not?
I guess, yes, I'm sure.
Paul, are there not people that are rooting for it? Yes, of course there is.
UCLA, here's one right here. The JQ said I'm not happy for Nico. Is it me, or why would I be happy for someone to get $3 million and he hasn't done anything yet? I'll admit that. That's from a guy in the chat. Go ahead, Craig.
No, I mean, I'll say what I'm going to say. There's people that are going to root against him. There's people that are going to root for him. I'm saying speaking for myself, am just a college football fan who I'm interested to see what happens next. That's all I'm saying. And there will be people that have their opinions one way or the other, and either this side will be proven right and he takes UCLA to the promised land, or he lives up to whatever he's making. And if that works out for them, great. And if not, that other side is going to be celebrating that he did not live up to any type of hype and that Tennessee was better off and whatever. And I'm just interested in the road ahead and to wherever that lands at the end of it, whoever ends up being right. I'm very intrigued by how all this works after the last few days.
How much is it an upgrade for UCLA?
Oh, it's a massive upgrade. Okay. It's a massive upgrade. I mean, he's very talented. Look, his performance last year was good for a first-year starter. It wasn't great, but he got him to the playoff. But, he also had a very strong roster around him. He had Dylan Sampson, one of the best running backs in the country, behind him. He had good wide receivers all over the field, even though one of the best ones, Squirrel White, was hurt all year. But he had really, really good talent on both sides of the ball. They got to the playoff for a reason. He has a coach that has coached a long time. He's going to a team that just doesn't have any of that around him like he did before.
But they had enough with Ethan Garbers as their quarterback to beat the Huskers. That's all I remember from last year. All right, when we come back, around the corner, Christy Dosh, a couple of other college football notes to get to as well. Eric Galko on the NFL draft, which is not this week, but next week from the East-West Shrine Game. He runs that event, so he has great intel. This is 365 Sports.
What a week it's been at Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness on Lakeshore Drive in Waco. Some 500 people in town to watch the TAPS State Championship. Tennis players everywhere from throughout the state of Texas. And, of course, with what Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness has is a tennis academy feel. They have a stadium court that is gorgeous when you walk out the back door on the concourse that is incredible. And then, of course, courts everywhere, including to the right, they have pickleball courts. Fitness memberships available for individual, couple, and family fitness. Enjoy what you want to use when it comes to free weights, to what they have with Cybex machines, Stairmasters, treadmills, and, of course, group exercise classes as well. Every single day, there are group exercise classes, so the weekend, no, that's not a time when you take off. There's always something to do. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, whether it's personal training, group fitness classes, or top-rated tennis courts and pros. You can come check out the classes, the weight training facilities, meet top-rated fitness staff. They offer a 7-day free trial to new and local guests to see what they have to offer. Waco Regional Tennis and Fitness, begin your journey today. Be ready and fit for the summer at Lakeshore Drive in Waco.
Alan Samuels House of Travel is a full-service travel agency with highly experienced travel consultants plus support staff with over a combined 150 years in the travel business. They are ready to take care of any travel situation for you, your family, and your business, and with the kind of knowledge to complete a seamless itinerary trip start to finish. They will search for the best deal to accommodate your budget from air to cars, ship to shore, hotel, and even meeting space. Name a destination and they've been there. They know the places to go, and international and missionary travel is one of their unique specialties. Alan Samuels House of Travel, celebrating 50 years in business. Call Connie, Sherry, Linda, or Bambi at 254-776-2560 or find them on Facebook or at houseoftravelwaco.com. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics, the team physicians for Baylor Athletics, diagnosing and treating all sports-related injuries, including concussions. These specialists also provide orthopedic services for athletes and non-athletes alike, whether it's knee or shoulder pain, a wrist injury, orthopedic spine care, and even an arthritis and total joint clinic. Trust the doctors Baylor Athletics trust. Baylor Scott & White Southwest Sports Medicine and Orthopedics wants to get you back in the game.
With so many companies and policies out there, it gets so confusing shopping for insurance, and I never know if I'm getting the policy that's right for me. Luckily, I met the team at the Niche Group Insurance Agency. With the Niche Group, you can go to one company and get access to coverage options from many insurance carriers, and you get to speak to a real person about your specific coverage needs. With the Niche Group, I know I'm getting the right coverage at the right price. If you need insurance, talk to the experts at the Niche Group at 1-800-258-8306. too.
Established in 2007 and independently owned, Alliance Bank Central Texas is committed to helping families and businesses meet their financial goals. From their tellers to their board of directors, they know the importance of superior service and competitive products. Customers have confidence knowing that their financial needs are in good hands. It's your bank, Alliance Bank Central Texas, with 2 Waco locations, 4721 Bosque Boulevard and 191 Archway Drive on Highway 84, and at alliancebanktexas.com. Member FDIC and equal housing lender.
Want to send a message to the show? Jump in the Rudy's Country Store and Barbecue chat room.
Got to get to the polls that Andrew Valade every day is putting up a couple of them. We always review how you felt and what you voted on at the end of the show following Paul Catalina and his top 5. There is a good discussion about whether or not UCLA is a better landing spot in the chat room. Somebody did put, here's from Elias Gray, UCLA is the worst possible fit. If he doesn't want to run his NFL prospect into the ground, they were 107th a year ago in sacks allowed. Whose weakness is taking sacks? And, of course, Nico, one of the things that they wanted was better protection for him and also wide receivers. Then there was also a note about feeding the NFL. Roger Dodger, who's from the West Coast, big USC fan. I think Roger lives on the West Coast. UCLA is 16th in NFL players currently on rosters.
None of those guys play for them right now, though. I mean, they fired, like, Chip Kelly left for a reason. Deshaun Foster came into the middle. Like, trying to justify UCLA's run, like, we had UCLA fans. Maybe I'm just mad about the old UCLA fans every time I criticize them. Like, no, we were good in 1951. Like, they're not good. The university as a whole has never cared about football ever once. Ever.
Well, they had a Heisman winner, I think, in Gary Beeman, and they had Troy Aikman.
Yeah. Okay. So, and then they got Troy Aikman because Barry Switzer, soured that relationship.
Aikman broke his leg and he changed the offense. That's why.
So, that. So they're kind of benefited from that. But yeah, I mean, Troy Aikman was 40 years ago.
Elias Gray. I'm a Tennessee guy, and I like Nico. His dad sucks and probably damaged him over pride severely. But it's a bad fit working behind a bad offensive line in a pro-style offense, which is him discussing UCLA as the destination.
Yeah, I think the notable thing about the pro-style offense is that's now their big reason that they're putting out there in the media as to why he left is the offense that Tennessee was running. So now you're in a pro-style offense. I guess that fits the narrative, but is it actually better for you as a player? I mean, that's part of what I was saying a few minutes ago. Is that's what we'll get to see. So there will be proof one way or the other at the end of the year. Either he's thriving and suddenly, and the reports where he was already planning on going to the draft next year anyways, he'll be that much better for it, or he's going to look like a guy who made a really poor decision and didn't get any better as a result. And maybe with all the circus surrounding him, the draft stock tanks. I don't know. Mentioned and brought in Indiana's OC. They had a pretty nice offense last year. Obviously, a lot of success as a team. But yeah, there are definitely questions about the O-line. So I guess Big Nick will be on the phones, working all that out, or was already on the phones with Deshaun Foster and company working all of that out. But yeah, it's a puzzling decision, save for the fact that it's out on the West Coast. That makes a lot of sense given his background. But yeah, beyond that, I mean, it's not the school that I would have chosen. I think that UCLA's had a moderate amount of success. They've had some double-digit win seasons. Lately, they've been more of the 8-4, 7-5, maybe 9 wins on occasion, making a bowl game, doing all that kind of jazz. And that's not Tennessee football's peak by any means. That's not what they strive for in Knoxville every year. So there's a different set of expectations, and maybe that'll be better for him, that it's not the cutthroat SEC and it's national championship or bust. He can go to a place where, yeah, they don't care nearly as much. They don't. The proof is in the attendance every week. And so maybe some of that will work in his favor. But yeah, from a football-only standpoint, it's a very puzzling choice and doesn't really add up given where you just were.
Joey Aguilar, is listed by OurLads.com as on the depth chart. He's a transfer, was at Appalachian State, Diablo Valley College as well. Pretty good numbers in college. Not sure exactly what the expectations were, but he was, at least from Our Lads' perspective, number one on their depth chart. He has 6,700 yards passing in a couple of years, so we'll see where he is.
Does he have a better shot to win a conference title now, or same or less?
I would say
I would say absolutely less.
I would say
I don't think
less.
either one a conference title, but Tennessee was knocking on it last year. I mean, they seem to be in a lot better place than UCLA has been in a long time.
Yeah, I mean, they were in the playoff. So you went from a team that was in the playoff and not a lot of that returning. I mean, a lot of defensive guys and offensive players as well that are moving on, that they're going to make that team look different from what it was a year ago. But yeah, now you're going into the league where Ohio State and Oregon are right there near the top, as well as a Michigan and whoever else you want to throw in that mix. I mean, hell, Indiana made the playoff last year, so maybe that's part of the sell job of like, hey, the guy who ran that offense is here in Westwood now. But yeah, I would think it's going to be tougher waters to swim through to get back to where you were a year ago. So from that standpoint, it's also very puzzling. But I think West Coast and beyond that, money talks. Like, I don't know. It is a puzzling choice, but I mean, ultimately, he's going to have to go out there this fall and prove it one way or the other. And that's where my head goes back to is I can't wait to see him sink or swim, and then the reaction that results from that.
All right. When we come back, Christy Dosh, she joins us. She has spoken recently. This has nothing to do really with Nico Maliava, but about everything college football and what all this means. Is this a new phase? We asked Amanda Kristovich that as well. And what else is going on with the college football itself? This is 365 Sports. Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco. Ted Teague, the CEO and general manager. And right now, they have buyer's choice. Choose between a 2025 Ram 1500 Lone Star Crew Cab or Laramie Crew Cab, 1.9% for 72 months, or $10,000 off MSRP plus 3.9% for 72 months, or just go with that flat $15,000 off that particular car. It's there at Alan Samuels with Ram trucks awarded 7 times as Truck of the Year, and also with what they have with a very nice array of pre-owned cars. I bought one from their dealership in the summer of 2020. In fact, I just made my last payment for that car just last month. Also, 2024 Ram 3500 diesel 4x4, just $56,800, or drive home 2025 Ram 1500 for just $35,900. Ford and GM owners get extra $1,500 if you buy. Big bucks, big savings at Alan Samuels, Dodge Chrysler Jeep Ram Fiat, Loop 340 east of 84 in Waco.
Automatic Chef is your local vending, office coffee, and micro market provider, delivering outstanding service to break rooms all over Central Texas for over 50 years. Automatic Chef brings the best products to your location at the best prices. With hundreds of choices in fresh food, coffee, snacks, and drinks, let Automatic Chef tailor a break room solution to your needs. Make break time great again with Automatic Chef. Automatic Chef Canteen, 6900 Imperial Drive in Waco, or online at automaticchef.com.
Baylor alumni are more than 160,000 strong. When we all join hands to support our university, we don't just move the needle, we move mountains. Working together, we create life-changing opportunities for students on the field, in the classroom, in the laboratory, and in life for generations to come. So get connected, get involved. Learn how at baylor.edu/alumni.
There are 26 letters in the alphabet, over 600,000 words in the dictionary, and just 3 of them said together can change everything. Let's order pizza. Those 3 words lead to dough made from scratch and 3 fresh signature cheeses that blanket golden crust in a heavenly melt on Marco's Pizza that'll blow your mind. So visit marcos.com to order and stop by Marco's Pizza in Belmead, China Spring, Woodway, and in Robinson. Marco's. Pizza lovers get it.
Penny Clinic Men's Healthcare in Woodway is now proud to offer you men an exceptional weight management body sculpting product called semaglutide.
also known as Ozempic or Wegovy. Semaglutide is an FDA-approved weight management medication. Once-a-week injections of this powerful medication offers an average body fat weight loss of 20% within the first year of treatment. In addition to body sculpting, semaglutide also normalizes blood sugars and has the clinical research proof of reducing blood pressure, cholesterol, stroke, and heart attack risk. If you're like most men and you have stubborn fat that will just not respond to typical diets and exercise, then help is finally here. Semaglutide, affordable, highly effective. Google search Petty Clinic Waco and reach out to the Petty Clinic team today for a free consultation with Dr. Petty to see if semaglutide is right for you. Go to pettycliniclowt.com.
This is 365 Sports. Enjoying the show? Hit the like button and subscribe.
Christy Dosh. We've had Christy on before. My goodness, if you cover sports, then you know that there are legal activities or issues or stories or more. And she joins us on 365 Sports with Paul Craig, and I'm David Smoak. Christy, thank you very much for your time. Did I see where you're writing a book about NIL?
Oh, I am done writing the book. Thank goodness. I actually turned in the final draft about an hour ago.
Oh my goodness! Yeah, you could have like added 3 chapters just in the last week with all this stuff. How much of a project was that with it kind of being fluid, but obviously a changer in college athletics?
Oh, I started writing this in October of 2021, and I very quickly realized things were too fluid to write about it back then. So I started seriously looking at it again, maybe beginning of 2024, and wrote it through most of last year and into this year. And the final chapter is on the House settlement and revenue sharing. And there had to just be a lot of, well, I think this is what's going to happen. And if it does, here's what it's going to look like. But I think, even if the settlement isn't approved, I think revenue sharing is coming. And so I really wanted to give parents and athletes some ideas about what these contracts are looking like and what they should and shouldn't sign when they get those.
So as revenue sharing is implemented here in the next few months, and then changed again over the years before we get to any kind of, reasonable collectively bargain agreement, what kind of contracts and what should things look like that are different than they are now, so that you don't have NICO situations?
Yeah, there's reasonable things in these contracts, like morals clauses that we see in professional athletes' contracts. We see some language in there increasing or decreasing payments dependent on some variables that include like breaking team rules or not going to class. You could get your sort of pay docked for that. Has a lot of terms you would expect to see in employment contracts, although at this point, the student athletes still are not considered employees. And that's really what a lot of the attorneys are jumping on is, hey, there's a lot of restrictions in these contracts and they very much favor the institutions. This looks like employment, but I don't think that we're going to get to that employment question during the current administration. So I think that revenue sharing will look like this for probably the next 4 years at least.
How much will the 20.5, and of course that number, if the settlement is ever approved, that number will go up slightly, I guess, every year. How much does that affect NIL in not what they're saying, but how much you think it will, if at all?
I actually don't think it affects it that much. I mean, we've seen a few schools, and I mean very few, who have consolidated their collective sort of into their athletic department, or the collective is going away because they're not going to be doing these, huge deals outside of the athletic department anymore. But that is the exception, not the rule. Virtually all of the Power 4 institutions are keeping their collective, and that NIL money is what's going to allow them to go above that revenue share ceiling. So that ceiling the first year is $20.5 million. It goes up 4% a year, and there are some look-ins that can make it even larger than that. But then athletes can earn on top of that through NIL deals, and there's no cap on that. So there's really no reason not to have your collective continue to engage in those activities.
So for the schools, they're kind of limited after that in what they can put in. I know in your article you suggested, like good faith arguments. What else can the schools reasonably put in there? Like good faith argument, good faith negotiations. If they want to leave, what can the schools put in without getting sued?
I think you're going to see a lot of one-year deals for guys because they're not willing to commit to them beyond that if they're unsure about how they're going to perform or they want to protect against, that athlete transferring. There are some multi-year deals, particularly for quarterbacks and some of the other key positions, because they want to have a way to hold on to those guys. The problem is the things that they're putting in these contracts to try to hold on to them, where they're going to try to claw back money or they're going to have a buyout clause like a coaching contract would have. It remains to be seen if any of them will actually enforce it because they don't want to be known as that school. They don't want to miss out on future recruits because of how they treat a current athlete. And so the experts I have talked to sort of differ on whether they think schools will even enforce those things that they're putting into the contracts.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I think they'll protect by having those payments be in small amounts. Like they're not going to give you everything up front. They're going to dole it out over the course of the season so that you don't hold out in the middle of the season or decide to stop playing or enter the transfer portal the first chance you get. So I think they'll protect themselves that way.
I saw that you had reached out, to Mitt Winter, Mulvaney, and Darren Heitner. And those guys have been all over social media at times with their own angles on all of this. What did you learn from them, from what they think?
It's really interesting because I know all those guys personally. I have been on panels with them before. And, the reason I talked to all of them is because I knew they all felt a little differently about it. Mitt is really big on wanting, particularly football and men's basketball athletes, to be employees. And he believes these contracts are employment contracts. He's out there talking about employment every single day. So I knew that's where he was going to come in. And Darren's not so far down that path. Darren thinks that that's possible and that there's certainly things in there that are problematic for the athletes that he's reviewing their contracts, but he doesn't beat that drum for employment quite so hard. And he does, work with collectives and universities in the past as well. So he's kind of working on all sides of the industry, and it probably depends on who he's representing as to, how zealous he is about one of those opinions. And then I would say Ryan's a little more like middle of the road. He wants what, they all want what's best for the athletes, but, he's not as vocal about employment either. So, and I knew they had all seen different contracts. That's the thing, is that every single school has a different revenue sharing contract. And when I was writing the book, they were the three guys I knew were looking at contracts, and I wanted to talk to all of them because they were looking at stuff from different schools, and everybody's handling it a little differently.
Yeah, and I think I've seen Darren, who we've had all of them, I believe, on the show, but Mulvaney contacted me yesterday that said that the athlete or whoever represents them has to be careful because he thinks that they're giving up too much commission. Is that right, Christy? Is that kind of his take too?
Yeah, actually, all three of them have made those comments along the way. And I was just editing that section of my book today, so I remember it. When it comes to brand deals, it's pretty normal to take, say, 20% of a brand deal if you're the agent. That's totally normal. There's nothing wrong with that. But they're all saying the problem is when you're trying to take 20% of an NIL contract or of a revenue sharing agreement, because that does look more like a pro contract. In the pros, the leagues limit what the agents can take, and it's anywhere from 2 to 5% is what's the norm. Mm-hmm. So for an agent to be taking 20 or 30% of a revenue sharing deal or a collective NIL deal from an athlete, none of them feel like that's appropriate. And I agree with them. I mean, I'm an attorney too. I have not served as an agent, but I've had agents, and I think they're right about that.
So I don't know if you saw the story. I'm sure you did. Nico Iamaleava has apparently committed to go play at UCLA, which was one of the schools. He's from California. Who knows the dollars or whatever, or the whatever behind it. But what are your thoughts about now, if that is, in fact, it looks like it is official?
Yeah, I mean, I think we all figured he would end up somewhere, and it wasn't going to be an SEC school because of the rules the SEC has. But, it doesn't surprise me that it happened pretty quickly. I would assume he was maybe already having some conversations with folks, as this was all brewing last week. I can't wait to find out the dollar amount, because I'm actually going to be surprised if he's getting more than he was going to get at Tennessee. I also talked to some people at different schools who were like, we don't know if we want to touch that, between him and his father sort of inserting himself in the situation and some of the comments that he made in the media and on social media. Not everybody's willing to take that on.
Christy Doss with us, Forbes.com with us on 365 Sports.
Christy, just, in a macro sense, how do you feel about the way that the media deals are negotiated and what that means for the future of athletes? Because, different conferences have different media deals. I mean, the probably best thing would be for all the conferences to have one media deal and share it. That's never going to happen in any kind of world. But how does that affect anything when you've got contracts going through?
Where I think it's actually most pronounced is women's basketball, because there were studies that were done before this last contract that showed women's basketball should probably be negotiated as a separate television deal. And it pegged the value at a much higher value than what they ended up with being part of the deal with so many Olympic sports that was eventually reached by the NCAA. So I think women's basketball players will have a good argument that, hey, we're being told that we're, say, only getting 5% of the revenue sharing money because we only bring in 5% of the money, but it's not our fault we only bring in 5%. They negotiated this deal that undervalued us. I think they have a really strong argument there.
Christy, I saw a question, if you don't mind, on your Twitter feed, because I was stalking you. When you mentioned the book, et cetera, do you think college sports ends up unionizing when it's all said and done? And you mentioned yes because of what, football, men's basketball, but what, the other sports probably not?
Yeah, I do think that if we see employment happen, so far the biggest attempts at unionizing we've seen have been football and basketball. It was Northwestern football players a decade ago. It was Dartmouth men's basketball players in the last couple of years. I think that's where we'll see it happen first. And then I think it's hard to have it for men's basketball and not women, so maybe it goes there too. But it's hard to imagine it trickling to the other sports. But on the other hand, the biggest test for employment is supposed to be the measure of control the employer has over the employee. And that does look the same for every sport. The only difference is the revenue generated. So I think it really depends who's on the National Labor Relations Board at the time and how they come down on that. I'm not saying that I'm advocating for them being employees. I actually think there's some, pros and cons that need to be weighed for that. And I even know athletes who aren't interested in that once they learn the pros and cons. But it seems very much to me like it's headed in that direction for football and basketball.
So how do you collectively bargain without being an employee?
So you cannot. You have to be an employee in order to collectively bargain. And then there has to be a collective bargaining unit, which there really isn't now. There have been several that have tried to start up and, have some athletes who have become members, but, nothing big enough for what would be needed at this scale. But you have unions in other industries that come in. Like I have a friend who's a ski patroller, and ski patrol guys just started unionizing the last few years, and they're working with a union, I think from the steel workers who helped them put all that together. So there's infrastructure through other organizations.
Do you think the settlement is passed? And if yes, when will it be passed?
Oh, I'm way more nervous about it than I was 2 weeks ago, and much more nervous than I was a few months ago. I thought for sure it was a done deal. Mm-hmm. I pretty much wrote my book chapter that way, but I am surprised that the NCAA and the plaintiffs' attorneys as well have not been willing to make, it sounds like, most of the bulk of the changes that Judge Wilkin asked for. The fact that they're not willing to grandfather in the roster limits, I don't know if she's going to go for that or not. I'm really nervous about it now. I do. But that being said, I think revenue sharing still happens. I think the NCAA will change its rules and revenue sharing will still happen because these contracts have already gone out for next year. So the genie's out of the bottle.
Yeah, I wondered if I see that they have added or whatever she wanted them to do, but you're right that it almost left out that the roster, whatever you want to call it. And that, I don't think she's going to approve it if it doesn't include some sort of slowly but surely putting that in. Do you?
No, she got too many letters from current athletes and prospective high school athletes who are seeing their roster spots go away because of this settlement. And I don't think that's what she wanted to happen as a result of this case, and doesn't, think it's fair and wants to do some grandfathering in there. And I'm shocked that they were just like, nope, we're not changing that. So I'm not sure how she's going to react to that.
Christy, thank you very much for everything. Appreciate your time whenever we can get you. Good luck with the book. I just put the link that you have pinned at your Twitter feed on the pre-order. So I just put that on our chat room, and hopefully a lot of people will have a chance to maybe learn a lot more about it than I think a lot of us really do know. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
You're welcome. Christy Dosh, Forbes Sports Business. And my goodness, what a time. If you would have had a kid in college, let's say 5 or 8, 9 years ago, and what are you going to study? If it's going to be law, would it be sports law? Because geez, my God, think about all of as she mentioned when she started the book in, what was it, sometime during 2020. 2021. All right. By the way, I always, at some point, when people want something, we try to deliver. The Big 12 has 3 teams ranked in the top 25. Paul, do you know that? Craig, do you know who they are?
I know that
I would have gotten one of these right.
West Virginia?
They are 24.
Let's see. Arizona?
22. I almost started singing that song. Arizona. I don't
Let's
even know.
see. And the other one would be Kansas?
No, or even not Kansas State. It's TCU. 22, 24, and 25 as they are hanging on like on the ledge with their fingernails to remain inside of the top 25. I think I just became MC Gusto's favorite co-host on the show just with that. By the way, the polls are out. Should NFL teams allow players like Travis Hunter to play dual positions or force them to pick one? I don't know if they could force them. They could always want them to play just one. But it's a great question. Either yes, no, or depends on the player. So that is out there. Thank you, Andrew Valade, for putting that up. Emery Winter's working on 365 Sports tonight, which is at 10:30 tonight on the local CW. And so we'll have the best segments and discussions for you every single weeknight at 10:30 on the CW. This is 365 Sports.
Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac, they are the people you can count on for your automotive needs. And they've got a great anniversary sales savings event going on right now at Richard Carr's. They've been in business for nearly 30 years now in the area. So swing through and take full advantage right now, like $4,500 on a new Buick Encore GX or $750 off a new 2025 Buick Envista, which was named last year's Car and Driver's Editor's Choice. If you're looking for a pre-owned vehicle right now during the Spring Into Savings event, and not only do they have offerings on the new ones, but they have 100 used cars priced to move for your upcoming summer travel. All pre-owned vehicles also go through a 172-point inspection, and they approve buyers that others don't. So they are all about 100% credit approval. It is their goal. They are locally owned, locally run. Locally run. They've got a lot of offers you can check out in person, over the phone, or over on the website, Richard Carr. That's KARR.com. Celebrating 26 years in business. Go check out the people that you can count on for all of your automotive needs and take advantage of their savings. Richard Carr, Buick GMC Cadillac.
In our logo and advertising, we say we are people that you can count on. What does that mean? It starts with providing a quality vehicle and quality service at a fair price. But it also means we do what we say we will do, and we treat people fairly with respect. It starts by hiring great people, good local folks who work hard with a caring attitude. Our employees are the real reason we are people that you can count on. Put us to the test and see for yourself that at Richard Carr Motors, we are people you can count on.
Parenting is full of surprises.
You never know what to expect.
So after our son was born, I called my Texas Farm Bureau insurance agent to set up a life insurance policy in case something happened to me.
Sawyer is now 2.
And we'll soon have a sister. There's no one else I would trust with protecting my family.
Stop by and see our agents at one of our 3 McLennan County locations.
Coverage and discounts are subject to qualifications and policy terms and may vary by situation.
Developed by Startup Waco, a nonprofit organization, GXG is a program designed to support the entrepreneurial development of Baylor University student athletes through NIL activations. The program helps student athletes maximize their platforms and offers a comprehensive support system for them to create and grow new businesses that not only benefit themselves, but also uplift the local economy. Fans who wish to support student athletes can donate to GXG via the GXG NIL Fund, BaylorBears.com/GXG. Contributions to support NIL activations through GXG can be made at BaylorBears.com/GXG. For more information, follow at GXG_GreenXGold on social media and visit the official website www.gxg.startupwaco.com. GXG, empowering student athlete entrepreneurship and uplifting the local economy through NIL activations.
Riverbend Liquor and Wine now has 2 locations to serve you. The original on Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street and the brand new spot in downtown Waco at 600 Franklin Avenue. If you're looking for the best in craft beers or local Texas bourbons, then the original is the place to be. And for the latest trends and online phenomenons, head downtown to the Franklin location. Either way, you're going to get the same great variety, customer service, and speedy experience. Check out both locations on their Facebook and Instagram pages, Riverbend Liquor and Wine, Lakeshore Drive at North 19th Street, and now downtown on Franklin Avenue.
This is 365 Sports. Check out the 365 Sports family of channels on YouTube.
He runs the East-West Shrine Bowl. Of course, that's up in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We've discussed that with Eric Galco, who also, because of that, knows the college talent inside and out. Good to see you, sir. Nice to have you. Is there any kind of, as you get a week away from the draft tomorrow, is there any kind of like emotions that you get for someone like yourself who analyzes this stuff every day?
No, it's really a lot of calls this time of year and trying to do my best, not just to help guys at the Shrine Bowl and educate NFL teams about where those guys, may fit, but really help NFL teams in a big way. One of the cool parts about doing this for as long as I have is you kind of being outside the NFL, I kind of become this way station for a lot of asking information, sharing information too. So like anybody else, trying to figure out what's going to happen on draft weekend, not just Thursday night, but especially day 2, day 3. And it's been interesting the last week or so with kind of how every NFL team is thinking the first round might go, because even internally with NFL teams, they're pretty bad at mock drafts too. So a lot of different opinions across the NFL where this first round might shake out.
Eric, which Ohio State running back is better, Henderson or Judkins?
Oh, I like Henderson a lot. I think Henderson is, you could argue he's the best running back in this class. And, especially knowing that we do our own independent work, NFL teams operate independently too, you really get a chance to see how much groupthink there is outside, and that the guy who's first and second feels like a much bigger delta than it actually is. But I think Travion Henderson, does things better than Ashton Jeanty or Amarian Hampton. I'm not saying he's all the way better, but I think he's in that kind of tier too. I think Judkins is a really good player, and I'd love him part of my running back room, but I think Travion Henderson's a 3-down player tomorrow in the NFL, and I wouldn't be surprised at all the his name called on Thursday night.
How much are you curious about what the New York Giants end up doing there at number 3? A lot of talk about who they're meeting with and workouts and things like that. Kind of what feel do you have for where they might go at this point?
Yeah, I think everyone wants to find out there. It feels like, certainly Cam Ward going first overall. Still some questions. Obviously, the Browns have a need at quarterback, have a great talent like Abdul Carter, but I think most people believe that Travis Hunter has a good chance to be the second overall pick. But really at 3, it gets interesting. And I think obviously the Giants are at this unique standpoint of they've had some good success, but it's only no secret that their GM head coach situation is a bit a question mark, I think, long term, and I think they have a lot of decisions to make too. Do you take Abdul Carter? Do you take the franchise quarterback? Do you look to move down so you can get a haul for those kind of picks? So I think for most NFL teams, they're not. No one's positive what the Browns are doing, or really the Titans are doing at this point either. But I think for most people, that tell you that the draft can really be a huge turning point at number 3 overall too. So do I have a feel for it? Hey, I'm hoping it's my guy Shedeur Sanders. I think he'd be great to be a face of the Giants too, but I'll admit my bias in that one, and I'm not positive he's going to be the pick there at 3.
Well, you set me up for my question about Shedeur Sanders, and obviously there's so many different opinions. I think a lot of it is people don't maybe like him because they really may not think he's that good, or because of the blowback in Colorado and Dion and all that, whatever. Have you seen anyone that has been analyzed as much as he's been in the way he's been?
I think there's some quarterbacks the last couple of years that people had to dive in more about kind of, all right, let me figure out who this guy is. I think celebrity-wise, it's him, Johnny Manziel, Tim Tebow of the last 2 decades of like celebrity status of a player, which makes it the more challenging. I mean, I get it. I got a chance to know Shedeur a little bit, know the people he's around, and I'm very comfortable with him and knowing what he's going to be in the NFL and he's going to be as a leader in a locker room. But I totally appreciate that. NFL teams are getting, him in a job interview setting and only the last 3 months. So I get that he's a more challenging, just like Johnny Manziel and Tim Tebow were more challenging, interviews because of their celebrity status and how well known they are. But I talked to a team just a little bit ago, and that's not going to take Shador, but they met with him and like, hey, we feel good about it. Like, obviously, he benefits from having his dad and all these great people around, and like, I think that stuff gets overblown in terms of who he might be in the NFL. And I think we forget often that, what character, whether it's a question about how, this guy's makeup or if a guy had an issue in his past, NFL teams don't punish the past. They're trying to predict the future. And I think if you're looking at Shador and what he's done in his college career, leadership wise, winning wise, overcoming the celebrity to be successful, you predict that to the future. Some teams may say, hey, I was going to fit in our locker room, but I think every team's going to say, like, hey, there is an obvious path this guy can be successful in the NFL level on and off the field.
Is there someone you feel is being touted as a first rounder who might be overdrafted in that regard?
I think it's tough to figure out who the back end of round one is. I would say that generally in round one, it's the sense I'm getting is that it's going to be a pretty risk averse, right? If teams are trading up for guys, they're going to trade up for guys that are probably O-line, D-line, really clean character. It's just not the top. The draft has some good depth, but it's not a draft at the top that you're going to feel great about, moving up and taking a big swing on a guy. I talked to a director the other day, and he kind of made the point that, hey, really in this draft after Travis, and if you're okay with Abdul Carter and his, kind of some medical stuff, there's a lot of guys you'd love to take at pick 18, 19, 20, not at 4, 5, 6, 7, right? And that's kind of where this draft ends up being too. So I think we'll see a lot of offensive linemen, a lot of defensive linemen, not a lot of skill guys, maybe 3, who knows, even 4 quarterbacks. We saw 6 go last year. I think teams kind of saw that all those guys seem to have success too. But outside of some quarterback surprises, it'll be a pretty heavy O-line, D-line, and DB draft. And no one really is going to be out of left field, I don't think, going in round one.
Eric, I know we're talking about this year's draft, but the big story in college football surrounding Nico Iamaleava chose UCLA a little while ago. Do you have any thoughts just on the story itself and just all that surrounded that, his choice, and just do teams care about anything like that? But like you just said, they're worried about the future, not the past.
Yeah, I got a chance to talk to people, let's call it close to Nico, the last couple of days, and just kind of did my own homework in advance, and also, really trying to offer my help. I'm thankful to have some, whether it's influence or insight, but I always look at my job like, hey, if I can help, no matter what happened in the past, if I can help their current situation, I want to do it. And my read of it, and I've talked to people around Nico, whether it's, private QB coaches or whoever else, and I've always heard really positive things about who he is as a person. And I'd always tell people to keep in mind, I'm not saying that the people around Nico did everything perfect, but there's always a little bit more going on than just what you kind of see on a Twitter post once in a while too. And I think the focus for Nico is, hey, let's try to get to the NFL next year, and what puts us in position to do that. And that definitely could have been at Tennessee, but I saw there were some reports about UCLA. I think UCLA is a great fit. They got an OC there, Tino Sunseri, who's fast rising coach in college football. He's going to be a heck of an NFL coach or a college head coach one day. I think if that's his destination, makes a lot of sense to develop. And who knows if it's a 1 year and go, or maybe it's a 2 year at UCLA. But I think he's one of the most talented quarterbacks in the draft, or in the country, I should say. And I think he has been an NFL level player since he was a freshman at Tennessee, and that's pretty rare. I think the fact that he started there as a freshman in college, and now he's going to his junior year, a new situation, but already has that same kind of base of ability, I think he has a chance to be really special in this year's college football season. I think he'll be in next year's draft class and have a chance to be one of the upper echelon quarterbacks in the country. I think he's that talented.
So they want talent. You just said that they don't look at the past, they look at the future.
And he has chosen UCLA.
Yeah.
That is official.
And he's going to UCLA for sure. And so none of this drama will come into play at all. And I hope not for everybody involved, but so none of this matters. It's how he's going to perform at UCLA, whether it's a year or two.
No, I think it matters. I think it matters until you ask the question. When I talk to guys, I get a chance to know these players too. When I first talked to Shedeur Sanders, I wasn't throwing him softballs, right? I don't think the team are throwing Nico softballs at all, but I think he has a chance to address the questions. And his answer to that question might be, we made a mistake. I made a mistake. It might be, here's the real story and here's how I did it. It might be here's what happened, right? And I get a chance to talk to Kyle McCord this year, the draft cycle, certainly at the East West Shrine Bowl, and he had to leave Ohio State a little bit different. He kind of got not forced out, but maybe they said it wasn't a good fit either too. And, that made Kyle a better player and a better person. Kyle will tell you that, if not for that adversity and overcoming that and kind of resetting his mind, he wouldn't be as ready for the NFL as he is. And I think for Nico, I talked to Jordan Palmer, a private quarterback coach as well, and he and I talked the other day about, hey, adversity in a quarterback is really important. It's important to have that adversity at some point, right? Because if you don't have it in college, when it comes to the NFL, you have that adversity, you may not make it through it. And I think for Nico now, this may be his, adversity moment, for better or worse, to say, all right, new situation, a lot of spotlight on me. He probably learned a whole bunch about himself, about people around him, about how to handle adversity. Now he goes to UCLA, and I think that's going to make him more prepared to be a professional when there's a lot more adversity coming your way.
Is there a knock on the scheme at Tennessee by scouts?
No, not in particular. Okay. It's certainly a lot of attack deep, throw deep. And, Hendon Hooker did it and did a great job. Joe Milton, different kind of player, but he certainly attacked deep. And then, this year, I think all the receivers averaged like 19 yards a catch with fewer catches, right? A lot of go balls there and a lot of underneath stuff as well, too. But, I think teams, there was a stretch there in the early 2010s where every NFL coach was like, oh, those college schemes, you can't use them. And I think they'll figure out how to assess it and how to evaluate it, too. And I would say for schemes more like Tennessee, where it's trying to scheme guys open more, a lot more bubble screens and quick stuff and then deep stuff, you just got to isolate some plays, and maybe you have fewer plays to get a full sense of who that player is versus a more pro style. But hey, I'd rather a quarterback who has a lot of success and those filtered throws, he still looks pretty good, versus a guy who's trying to run a pro style offense with no chance of being successful too. So sometimes just seeing a guy throw the ball deep and throwing the ball well is still pretty appealing to NFL teams.
I was watching a segment about the draft, and so they were bringing up Nico because of where he might play. Now we know it's going to be UCLA. And there was actually also an article that they looked at Tennessee's offense. That's why I think Craig also asked that question. And there were thoughts about the way NFL scouts started to look at wide receivers and quarterbacks that were at Baylor with Art Briles. There's nothing like that as a comparison? Because they started to get the bad rap.
Yeah, I think that was the prime time, right? When it was like, hey, receivers or quarterbacks in the systems don't work out. And I think we've kind of figured that piece out too. A lot of great quarterbacks in college, in high school and college, went to those offenses like the Art Briles, disciples, and then went to have great NFL careers. Hey, when Lane Kiffin was at Alabama, a lot of those guys ran some of those same type of go balls, quick RPOs, screen stuff, and still have success in the NFL level too. So I think that's kind of moved past. But again, talking, how we evaluate quarterbacks, I think a lot of NFL people that do a good job evaluate quarterbacks is you watch all the throws, but you do your best to filter and using the tools that we have to watch the non-RPO, non-screen, non-obvious throws, and just watch those plays and watch them on third down, watch them scrambling. You can do so much to isolate plays and watching guys now that I think you can really get a good sense of who these guys are too. So, certainly it's easier as a scout if you're like, hey, this guy's playing in the SEC, running a pro style offense. It's one tight end, one running back, obvious stuff. Sure, that's easier, but I think you also want to see guys have success. And if having success means using the incredible receiving talent we have in college football right now too, I think you'd be naive as an NFL scout and that's a bad decision.
If it's not the Giants for Shedeur, do you think it's the Saints?
I think the Saints are absolutely going to be in the mix for a quarterback in the first couple rounds of the draft for sure. I think Pittsburgh, was kind of sitting there and doesn't have really an identity at quarterback either. Mason Rudolph, maybe someone else in the free agency or trade market. But I think those are the teams outside of the Browns and the Giants that make a lot of sense. And I think if you're the Cleveland Browns, it's Joe Flacco, it's Kenny Pickett, and then who's your guy for the future? If you're the New York Giants, you got Jameis Winston and Russell Wilson, and who's your guy for the future too? So the Browns and the Giants have always, since the Shrine Bowl, since the end of the season, made the most sense for Shedeur, in my opinion, just me talking. And how they've built their roster this offseason kind of tells you that, hey, maybe a guy like Shedeur makes a lot of sense for both of those teams. But certainly the Rams are also a dark horse, take a quarterback early. The Steelers I mentioned, the Saints. Like there's a good number of teams that when you got a guy like Shedeur Sanders that maybe not in the top 10, like those guys don't fall very often. And when they do, you'll be surprised at which teams look at quarterback extensively.
Who would you say Cam Ward is who's in the NFL now?
Baker. Baker's one that jumps out to me. A little bit different and stylistically, maybe between a Baker and a Kyler, a guy that's really good at improvising out of the pocket, doesn't lose his head, can finish downfield, can stay aggressive, can take chances when he has to, but also kind of reel it in. Baker, like Cam, are not like elite athletes, but they can certainly move, and they're really decisive runners and and getting out in space. And I think the Baker Mayfield, remember him as a draft prospect coming out of Oklahoma. A lot of NFL people and coaches, and even I think Hugh Jackson made a comment about it, if you look back at that draft class, where you just can't describe how important of a leader he was for that Oklahoma team. You go to Miami and talk to Cristobal and their staff, it's a very similar vibe of Cam Ward. Like I think Cam Ward was worth 6 wins at Miami this past year just because of his leadership and culture, that if he's not there and it's somebody else, maybe they're a 500 team. That's how impactful Cam Ward was for that Miami football team. And I think a lot of NFL personnel that have been through, that have talked to their staff, will tell you, hey, that's why Cam Ward's a franchise quarterback, because he's going to really change your identity with how he leads, with how he wants to win. Shadur will do the same in a different way, but that's what Cam Ward and Baker Mayfield have in common.
Eric, I'll tell you, I watched every Miami game last year. He was worth, you're right, 6 wins because of the leadership, and he was worth their other 4 because of his ridiculous skill set and the fact that Mario Cristobal had 0 people who wanted to tackle. And so it was those moments, and that's why people can nitpick about interceptions and things like that for a guy with his experience level. But if you just watch, in the moments of hey, our defense can't stop anybody, you're going to have to score every time you get the ball here in the second half. He did that every single time.
He's an incredibly decisive thinker, a very confident person without an ego. I joke all the time about Cam too. I got a chance to know him a little bit now too. He'll say what's on his mind and mean it. And some people initially are like, I can't believe you just said that. But I know at Miami, they tell stories about, he gets there in the first practice, it's a player run, and he's basically leading the practice to the new receivers. And the first drive they do together, he's yelling at Xavier Restrepo. He took command immediately. And it's in a way that's so dry and so direct and so confident, without being I'm better, but with hey, this is the standard we're going to set. And again, I think people at Miami will tell you the standard that he set was the most important of any coach or personnel person on the staff too. And the Tennessee Titans are going to get a guy like Cam Ward who can really reset that culture on offense a little bit moving forward.
Eric, it's still amazing. We had Eric Morris, North Texas football coach, who, of course, is the one that discovered Cam Ward. He had basically no offers, no interest. Found him while saying, I got intrigued by him because he was a damn good basketball player, which, can transfer over. How many, I'm sure that's a rarity. Would you think a guy who's going to be the number 1 quarterback taken that nobody looked at or knew much about at all? And that says a lot about Eric Morris at North Texas.
Oh, Eric Morris is a heck of a coach. Fun story. When I was at the XFL back in 2018 and 2019, we were looking at, a good mix of experienced coaches, but also young and rising guys. And the 2 guys we were, trying to talk to a little bit were Joe Brady, ended up being a pretty good coach as well in the NFL, and then Eric Morris back in 2018, 2019. We've liked Eric Morris for a long time. I really know the talent, and I think he's doing a great job there in North Texas. But I know Cam Ward and Cam Ward's family speak so highly of Eric. They're still very close because I think Eric saw the talent that a lot of people took some time to go see. And pretty early on at Incarnate Word, NFL scouts, when they got word who this guy was, watched him, were like, that guy's the NFL guy one day. And that's a huge testament to Eric Morris to give Cam a shot. And Cam was with him at at Incarnate Word and then Washington State. And I think he owes a lot of, not a big amount of debt, because certainly Cam earned it, but I think he owes Eric Morris a lot for finding him and approaching him too. And, those early years at Incarnate Word, I talked to a scout just earlier who has that Texas region. And I was like, who's the best quarterback from your area? He's like, can I count Cam Ward when he was here at Incarnate Word? That's how talented he was back then. So credit to Eric Morris and Cam for going from Incarnate Word to now one being a head coach and one being the first overall pick.
How many GMs, personnel, whoever, how many of them send out fake flares or get someone to say something between now and the draft just because they're playing mind games?
I think it happens a good bit. It'll happen the next 72 hours, right? Today, for most NFL teams, some teams yesterday was the last day of their meetings as a staff. So all these NFL teams will bring in all their scouts, all their coaches, and kind of put their last bit of board together, have their debates in the war room. And then after today, the board's kind of set. Now it's up to the GM, the head coach, and the owner to decide not only what their strategy is going to be and how they're going to draft guys, but also how to get the guys they want to. So it'll be trade calls, but it'll also be kind of leaking stuff out there in the media. So I would say, after today, tomorrow, I'd be very cautious what you kind of believe, unless it really makes sense from a football standpoint what happens. But it happens, of course. You would if you were a GM too.
Sure.
Hey, we want this guy. Let's like this. I know one team that really wanted a certain player in last year's draft, and the morning of the draft, they leak something in the media to try to hurt that guy to make sure they got him. They put up negative stuff on the guy they wanted to see if they get him at a later pick as well too. So it's pretty common, and it's maybe shady business, but it's the business of the NFL.
Yeah, it is. Anyone else? Eric, thank you, buddy. Good luck in the next week. And, man, we do appreciate it. I don't know where you'll be Wednesday. If you have time on the eve of the draft, we'd like to get you one more time unless you travel. And even if you then, we'll hunt you down and get you on the show.
Appreciate it, guys. Thank you.
Eric, I don't think he said yes.
No, he didn't. I don't think
he said yes.
You don't rise to the position in life that Eric Galco has as one of the premier voices in scouting and all that with just saying yes to things willy-nilly.
Yeah, but we made him.
Well, I mean, I think
we made Jared Sandler.
I think we helped along the way.
We made Kyle Yeomans.
Yeah, that one actually. The third one is true. That one is true, for sure. By the way, I've got some good news for the Commanders fans in this room.
Okay.
So the Commanders and the District of Columbia are close to a $3 billion stadium deal at the RFK site.
Damn, that's great.
So
no way could anyone have believed in the last, just over a year, I don't know when the ownership change, was it like 18 months ago or whatever, how much a franchise that was toxic as anything you could imagine has turned the corner, given the fan base hope, drafted a quarterback, go to the playoffs, play for a conference championship, and now the only way they have this opportunity to get a stadium is that, plus people trust the ownership, and they want them back where they were. They want them back where they used to do. Hail to the Redskins. And also, the place shook. And it didn't have many people. It was like 50-some thousand that were in the stadium. And then they built that big, huge, massive dump truck of whatever it was. They rarely have any good memories there.
Yeah, I mean, that's cool. That's something they've been working on for a while. Josh Harris, big part of helping get that done. And I think it'll be great to be in D.C. proper and not Virginia, with all due respect to those folks who have had that stadium there for the last couple decades, I guess it's been at this point. So, that was a fine site, but it's clear that's a decrepit site now at this point, where Josh Harris, when he came in, had to make a whole bunch of upgrades to just make it just good enough for an NFL standard stadium, versus the way it was falling apart under the ownership, like everything else in that building under Dan Snyder. So yeah, just more of Josh Harris winning. I think it's you're gonna have to sort through some other RFK titles today to get to like RFK as far as the stadium goes, because there's political headlines. When I Google RFK Commanders, this was not what came up initially, but it is now getting out there, I guess, in the last couple of hours, and that's great. That's awesome. I think that'll really excite the fan base and make a lot of DC natives very happy that history is kind of returning in some ways. So yeah, it feels like there's healing going on for the Commanders franchise. It really does.
Dan Skillings, who yesterday visited Baylor, and Scott Drew committed yesterday evening. He'll join us next on his decision to remain in the Big 12 from Cincinnati to Baylor. He's next. This is 365 Sports. Ideal MRI.com. Inside the Central Texas marketplace, Dr. Rob Maxey and his partners have a wonderful, wonderful business. I have used it personally because of all the aches and pains and bumps and bruises I have dealt with over the last few years. And their MRI machine, state-of-the-art technology, and what's even better is I've sometimes, because of just pain, I've been able to get an appointment. They make room, get it done, and it's always very, very simple. There is no drama, which I have had when I've been in MRI machines elsewhere, because I've been in a few. $497 or less. $497 or less. The average MRI is around $1,100. Great location, no large waiting room. You get in, they fill out some paperwork if you haven't already. You get inside the room and get inside the MRI machine, and then you're done. You're done. And the staff in there, the techs and specialists, have been fantastic. If you have pain, your doctor wants a better look at it, you suggest, you go to idealmri.com. One size fits all. That may be all right for an adjustable belt or cheap sunglasses, but when it comes to your financial needs, no one wants a one-size-fits-all strategy. Ben Erlinson, your Edward Jones financial advisor, knows that his most important goals are yours. That's why he takes the time to understand your needs, knowing you. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Ben Erlinson, 100 North 6th Street in Waco, 254-759-8533. Edward Jones, member SIPC.
Pizza, burgers, and Bears football. There's no place around Waco that serves them all other than Bubba's 33. Come show your green and gold and enjoy some of Waco's best food and beverages while watching your favorite team, the Bears. When real Bears fans get hungry, Bubba's 33 is the #1 spot for ice-cold drinks, hand-stretched, stone-baked pizzas, and bacon-infused burgers. Join us for indoor or patio dining. Bubba's 33, Waco's restaurant and proud supporter of Baylor Bears football. Sick 'em, Bears.
Do you or your kids get nervous about going to the dentist? Stonewood Dental, Dr. Steve Childress, he can help.
I've spent a career taking care of patients who as children had bad experiences, and now they're adults that hate going to the dentist. If I get a kid at 3 years old and they come every 6 months and it's a happy experience, it's normal for them. Now they have an accident at 6 or 7 or 8 at school. Now they have a broken tooth or a trauma, and they have to come here. They're used to lights, they're used to water in their mouth, they're used to experience, they already trust us. It's amazing what we can do with that kid without it being a negative thing. But if I see a 6 or 7 or 8 year old that's never been to the dentist, and now they have a trauma or an unfortunate unexpected toothache, it's harder to do that for that kid and it not be somewhat of a negative experience. So bottom line is I try to teach kids and adults and teenagers, everybody, the way I'd want my family treated, which is where it's a necessary part of life. You just take care of it. It doesn't have to be that big a deal.
Learn more, stonewood-dental.com.
1, 2.
I'm in love with a man named Rudy. I'm okay with that. He knows exactly what I want. He keeps me coming back. He cooks breakfast, lunch, and dinner for me. Does the dishes too. I'm in love with a man named Rudy, last name Barbecue. It sure is easy to fall in love with Rudy's tasty oak smoked barbecue.
Next in line.
This is 365 Sports.
The 5 o'clock hour is sponsored by Edward Jones Investments with financial advisor Ben Erlinson, who'll navigate you through today's financial climate. Edward Jones, making sense of investing.
Now here's David Smoak, Paul Catalina, and Craig Smoak.
All right, I just sent Dan Skillings a text. We were supposed to get him about right now. I know he had landed in Cincinnati just a few hours ago, so we will see if he responds. Hopefully he will. He's the Cincinnati Bearcat now, who remains in the Big 12, but joining the Baylor men's basketball team that had to replace everybody. John Calipari, I think at Arkansas, may have done that. It seemed like Dion had done it, right? The first year, that was, oh, my God. No. We'll call him. Do you have his number?
Did you send me his number?
No, because we were going to get him on video. Let me text him. We will call. Okay, sorry about that. One of the notes about this, the Colorado retiring the jerseys of Shedeur Sanders and Travis Hunter, this thing continues to get a lot of play, and a lot of people aren't happy about it, including a former player that said many things about Bieniemy and Hagan and so much more. There's an anchor up there, the TV anchor up there, who also said this is unacceptable. Maybe Travis Hunter, but even then a buffer period for him to have his jersey retired or number retired. And it has not gone very well for Colorado's athletic department. Not sure if they're listening or not, but there we are with that.
I mean, everybody's got their opinions. So, yeah, I mean, we talked about it yesterday, and there's people who can justify it by pointing to the records and school records that he held and all that on Shedeur's part. I don't think the Travis Hunter induction really needs justification. I think for me, the bizarre part's just how quickly they moved to do this. It means to me that either they don't think they're going to be able to do this in 5 to 10 years like a program normally would when you bring guys back after they've been in the NFL for a while and you've had a little bit of a breather from them and careers have gone differently, or they just want to strike while the iron's hot, perhaps. I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. I mean, it's their call. And it's not Deion's fault that certain players weren't in? How about you blame all of the multiple head coaches that were there and the multiple athletic directors and the multiple presidents and all of these people who aren't getting any of the blame that Deion's getting, who had an opportunity to put Cordell Stewart in the freaking to retire his jersey. Could have done it at any point in the last 25 years. And now it's an issue because Shedeur and Travis Hunter are getting it. I just think that's a weird argument to make. That's not Deion's fault. If you're going to argue about it, though, like the timing and doing it so quickly, I do think is a little strange. And that's where I just have a hang up on it. But, I mean, yeah, clearly deserving Travis Hunter. If you win a Heisman, I think that's automatic. You should have your jersey retired.
Deion's lived in Boulder for 2.5 years. He's been there for 2.5 years now. So, again, all this stuff happened from 1990 until now. So, Craig, you're absolutely right. There have been countless people who could have done this and helped create some hype and some joy among the fans.
Yeah, don't point the finger at a football coach who had these two players. One of them his son, the other one a Heisman Trophy winner. We got him?
Yeah.
We are now joined by Dan Skillings, former Cincinnati Bearcat, remains in the Big 12. He committed yesterday to Scott Drew and Baylor. And, Dan, thank you very much for your time. What's it been like the last 18 or 12, 14, 20 hours or so since you committed?
It's been amazing, man. I got a lot of love from all the Baylor fans and a lot of love from the coaches, a lot of love from family and just fans of mine in general. And I'm really excited to get down in Waco and get started so we can win a national championship.
Have you ever been on a team that the entire team from the year before was gone and you're replacing everybody? Because Scott had to do some work along with his staff to get this thing put together.
No, I never have been a part of a team like that, but Scott knows what he's doing, and Coach Drew's going to get it done. He's going to get it done.
What is that part of it's a challenge and it's part of today's college basketball for sure. But is that part of the excitement about coming here, of starting something there are a couple of guys that were here a year ago that will be back, but really basically starting all from scratch.
Yeah, man, I'm excited because I feel like we could do something very, very special. I think everyone that's involved on this process, I think all of us are all excited because we know we want to do it for Coach Drew. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And because he's such a great coach, he's such a great guy, and he has such a great with his career. You know what I mean? And we want to do it for him, and we want to keep going far in the conference, and we want to play in March Madness, and we want to go far in that. So we're all looking forward to getting to Waco, putting the work in, and proving what we can be.
I'm sure the answer is no, but I spoke with you earlier today to set this up, and I told you that a couple of years ago when Baylor opened up their new arena, the Foster Pavilion, Cincinnati may have been their first conference game inside that arena. Hell of a game, close game, and then Baylor eventually won it, and I'm not so sure it didn't go overtime. But I remember watching you. I liked your style, and I'm not like some sort of draft scout, whatever, but I always thought that you were very explosive and maybe should have gotten the ball a little bit more when they needed you. What do you remember about that visit, and could you have ever imagined that eventually was going to be your home arena?
Wow, man. I remember that visit, and one thing that stuck out to me about it was we played that game, and I remember having a really good game, but I just remember all the Baylor fans were screaming like positive things at me, come to Baylor. A bunch of cool, funny stuff. Come to Baylor. We want you. You're a killer. All this stuff, and I thought that was really dope and really funny. And now I never thought I would be at Baylor. No, not at all. And now that I'm here, it's just funny. I looked at one of the Baylor student section's Instagrams, and they had DM'd me a couple times throughout these years saying, "Come to Baylor, man. We love you. This and that." And now I'm really here, so it's just funny to see it all come to fruition. And I'm here.
You have
those rims. I like those rims.
You have length. I called you kind of a slasher. Is that fair to kind of describe your game that way?
Yeah, a lot of my positives in my game are slashing and rebounding, but I also can be a very great playmaker and a screen and roll and a ball screen, and I can be a very effective shooter when I work on my game.
the Coach Drew has had really good success with transfers over the years, like in every iteration of the transfer portal. How much does that go in when you look at?
You just lose him?
Just lost him. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'll try to get him. By the way, with today, and of course, Dan is a transfer from Cincinnati. I saw this note earlier today to start the day. It was pretty cool. Emmanuel Charles Lobo.
I got him on video. Or he just jumped off. Never mind.
Okay. You got him on video? I think he's confused on whether we're the same show he was just on or not. We'll see if we got to go. Emmanuel Charles Lobo said this: the portal period is open. For the next 5 weeks, college coaches are hitting the road. If you're not seen, you're forgotten. Be available, be presentable, be ready, comment locked in if you want to get in front of coaches.
Yeah.
So,
by the way, he's going to jump in the video.
Okay, good.
So,
good,
yeah, there
good.
he is.
There we go.
There's
There you are.
The man himself.
You already got swag on. You've already got the Baylor swag on. Great to have you, Dan. Good to see you. What is the main thing? You knew what Baylor represented. You knew, like we said that. You know Scott Drew. But when you arrived and you had a trip that was pretty quick, you made a decision pretty quick. When did you know once you arrived in Waco or on the campus that it was going to be Baylor?
They at the end of the visit, they had a presentation for me, and the whole coaching staff was in there, and they're all supporting me. And they just Coach Scott, man, he just showed all the player development they have at Baylor, all the guys he player development made pros, and that was one big thing I wanted for my last year because it's always my dream, and I want to go to the NBA. And I think with Coach Drew is the best opportunity for me to go to the NBA, and he just showed all the pros he made. He showed all the transfers that he got that didn't have like their best years, and he turned their year completely around, and then they had a pro type year and made it to the NBA. So, and he wants to do that with me. He preaches that to me, and I believe in him. I believe in him a lot. And after that presentation, he had me, my agent, and my uncle make our decision. I mean, he just said, like, we'll leave the room and let you guys talk. And then we talked about it, and I was speechless, and I was just like, I'm in. I'm with the BU, man. I'm with the Bears.
Have you talked to any of the other guys because a lot of times when you went on a visit to Cincinnati a few years ago, they were like, oh, here, these guys are going to be here. They're going to be playing for you next year. Here it's Cameron Carr is the only guy I think for sure that's left from last year. And then the other one is an incoming freshman that was promised. So have you talked to any of the other guys that have committed?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah.
Yes. I talked to Obi. I was talking to Obi a little bit, and then I was talking to Dundee.
Mm-hmm.
I was talking to Dundee for a little bit, and we chopped it up, you know what I mean? And we were just talking about what we're going to do this year, how we're locked in, and we're going to be grinding this summer, and we're going to come out guns a-blazing when the season starts, and we're ready to attack this. So, yeah, I talked to a couple of them thus far.
All right. Now, I mentioned what I saw you do, and you mentioned what you also can do as a playmaker and all the other things. Did they give you, like, are you a 5, a 3, a 2, a slash, a forward? Because it changes now. I mean, these things change all the time.
Yeah, he talked to me. He said I could play 1 through 4. You know what I mean? I can get a defensive rebound and bring the ball up, play some point, play the combo guard. I can play shooting guard. I can play small forward. I can play power forward, meaning like our power forwards can be 6'7" and can bring up the ball, like 1 through 5 can bring up the ball. So I'll be playing 1 through 4 on the court, and we'll have 4 big guards out there.
Do you how much is an advantage of playing in the Big 12 the last couple of years that a lot of that, so you can kind of hit the ground running, especially for the guys who are coming in, who, High Point, Omaha, that haven't played against this league?
Yeah, definitely can fill them in and let them know how teams are and what their strategies are and how they play offense, how they play defense, zones, and everything like that. So being my 3rd year in the Big 12 and playing against these guys and these teams and these coaching staffs and their strategies, it will definitely be a help for me, and I can be a leader on the team within that 4th year, and I'll be able to help my teammates out that are not familiar with it. And, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to attack the Big 12.
How would you describe playing in the Big 12 with so many teams, of course, and a great run by a handful of teams this year, and Tech just on the edge of being a part of the Final Four, Houston playing for the national title, and the other programs that are good too? How do you describe the day in or game in and game out play?
Man, the Big 12 is very, very, very physical, and that's one thing I like. I feel like with physicality around, I'm more aggressive and I'm more of the player I am. And man, every night in the Big 12 is a big game. You know, every night in the Big 12 is a chance to get better as a team, win or loss. And looking forward to every game is a magical thing, man. We're all blessed, you know, blessed by the Lord that we get to play this game basketball, and in the Big 12, one of the best conferences in the country. So it's very welcoming, and it's very fun to attack, and we appreciate it.
Was there ever any contact, and I'm not talking about like asking you to come to Baylor or anyone, when you were at Cincinnati or even before that, did you ever have conversations with Scott Drew, and did you ever believe he could be actually who you now know he is as a personality?
No, we were never in contact. He was over there at Baylor handling his business. I was at Cincinnati handling my business. So we never had any contact. But I shook his hand a couple times when we were coming down the aisle after the game. But no, I never knew his personality is the way it is, and it's super cool to see that type of personality he has. You know, I'm big on having a players to coach relationship off the court, and on the court, obviously. And me and him already have a great relationship thus far in this recruitment process when he was recruiting me. And so do I have with all the assistants, the GAs, the video guys, the managers, the GMs, the strength coach. It's super dope. And yeah, Coach Drew is a super cool dude. He's super positive, always smiling, always happy, always energetic. And I'm the same way. I'm always smiling, always energetic, always excited for what's next and my next step forward. So yeah, it's super dope seeing what type of guy he is.
Now you're a Philly guy, right?
Jersey guy.
Paul, you're going to start a fight.
Yeah, Jersey. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. So, is there culture shock at all coming down to Texas? It's a different world than New Jersey for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely different. It's a lot more open. It's a lot more chill. It's a lot more laid back. And I like that, man. It keeps me locked in too. You know what I mean? Just the gym. I'm gonna get a place right around the corner from the gym, and I'll be excited to go to the gym every day. And the stuff I like to do outside of basketball, I like to relax and watch movies and watch TV shows and play some board games with friends or my girlfriend, and then I like to go out to eat, you know. And there's a lot of nice places to eat out in Waco. So everything I can do here in Cincinnati or Jersey, I can do down in Waco. So
we need to ask him about the chili, Paul.
No,
I'm
sure,
not.
But I'm curious, like, what's your when you go, like when you and your girlfriend are binging a TV show, like what are you watching lately?
One of my favorite movies. My favorite movies are it's called Nikita, and then Nikita's a TV show, but
yeah,
it's a TV show. Favorite movies are like Bad Boys, all the Bad Boys, and then I like Coming to America. I like Rush Hour 2. Right now we're watching other TV shows. We're watching Pretty Little Liars. It's something she got me on. So.
Yeah,
it's something she got me on, and I'm a little hooked watching it with her. So yeah, we're enjoying that.
Coming to America is the funniest movie that's ever been made or ever will be made. So you look, you're bona fide. Like that's it. That's all I need to know about you, Dan. Right there. Coming to America is in my opinion, the funniest movie ever made. Will never be topped. It was so good. If you have not seen Trading Places, which is also the movie he did right before Coming to America, you need to watch that one too.
All right. Hey man, good smile. Are you relieved? It wasn't going to take long. There's going to be a lot of people that wanted to talk to you, but are you relieved this is done, set? Now you make plans to get here, I guess, early in the summer?
Yeah, man, I'm definitely relieved, and it takes a lot of weight off my shoulders, you know, in this process. It was very, very difficult in this process, you know, talking to some schools and stuff like that. And now that it's done, and I'm super happy with Baylor Baylor's my number one, and I'm excited now. I'm just very excited to get out there. The moving process is going to be a little stressful, but shipping everything. But other than that, I'm really excited. I'm looking forward to it.
All right, man. Good luck. Thank you very much. Enjoy. Get a little break. I'm sure you'll sleep well after trying to figure out where you're going to end up. That's Dan Skilling from Cincinnati. He's committed and signed with Baylor. He'll be a part of the team next year. From Paxton, it's refreshing to talk to someone with some couth nowadays. Very impressive young man. Yeah, I enjoyed the personality. When I called him earlier today to try to set up the segment, he wanted to keep talking. I was ready to kind of move on and get the next segments all locked in, but we appreciate Garrett. I got to tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
That was an absolutely phenomenal job from what was a cell phone interview to he disconnects. He jumps in the video link that we had sent him earlier. Then he gets on that. Then he disconnects. You put the slide graphic up, and then he gets back on. That I did not overlook that, by the way. Very well done.
I appreciate
Very well done. All right. Thank you very much. Dan Skillings now will be playing for Baylor next year. When we come back, Paul Catalina. This is 365 Sports and his top 5.
Escape into fitness with the Schwinn IC4 bike, providing a premium, heart-pumping indoor cycling experience that combines digital connectivity with superior Schwinn quality. The IC4's smooth, quiet ride features magnetic resistance with 100 micro-adjustable resistance levels, an intuitive resistance knob, a beautiful backlit LCD display, adjustable race-style seat, dual-link pedals with toe cages, and a pair of 3-pound dumbbells with easy-reach cradles. Place your phone or tablet on the media rack and keep them charged with the IC4's convenient USB charging station, extra-large dipped handlebars for premium grip, and dual water bottle holders for staying hydrated. The Schwinn IC4 comes with a slim, comfortable, Bluetooth-enabled heart rate armband that continuously monitors heart rate to help you stay within your target zone. But the best part about the IC4 is premium digital connectivity. Digitally immerse yourself in a world of virtual races, exotic locales, and stunning trails from around the globe. With connectivity to cycling and coaching apps like Peloton, Explore the World, and Zwift, with the Schwinn IC4 bike, you can ride with Peloton at a fraction of the price. Don't limit yourself to one digital experience. Pedal through dozens of scenic destinations, controlling your pace by speeding up or slowing down. Fitness was never meant to be put in a box, and neither were you. Escape the everyday with the Schwinn IC4 bike, your ticket to a life well lived.
This is Paul Catalina's Top 5, brought to you by Ticket Club. Forget the fees, just big savings. Click the link in the description to find out more.
Welcome into Paul Catalina's Top 5 today. Continuing on the mock draft, picks 6 through 10. Let's dive in. At number 6, the Las Vegas Raiders. Oh, we love that they're in Las Vegas. And don't ever forget that they're in Las Vegas, even though we sometimes forget, and we've been to their stadium multiple times. Spent 48 whole hours there just a year ago. And sometimes we forget those things. In case you're wondering, this is take 2 of this top 5. And I just feel I have to get that out. And part of the reason I'm delaying saying who I think the Raiders are going to pick is it breaks my heart. Shatters it into a billion pieces. Ashton Genty, running back, Boise State. Pete Carroll loves big-time running backs. Geno Smith is signed for at least 3 years. Plus, I already have the top 2 quarterbacks going off the board. None of the rest of them are worth picking at 6. So who's the best player available for a team that needs literally everything? Ashton Genty. I want him to the Cowboys at 12. It's not going to happen. He's not getting past 10 at the Bears. So, number 6, the Las Vegas Raiders. Ashton Genty, running back, Boise State. Please take a minute and pour one out for my dreams. Number 7, Armand Membu. Offensive tackle, Mizzou to the Jets. The Jets also have some needs at wide receiver, somebody to pair with Garrett Wilson and all that. I think the most important thing for them, though, is fixing that offensive line. This is a step in that direction. Look, Justin Fields has a short time to prove that he's worth being their quarterback. So you've got to do whatever you can to protect him. And that means the best offensive lineman in this draft, which is Armand Membu, the tackle from Mizzou. Help the running game, help out Justin Fields. Try to be better. You build things up front, Jets. Do that. Don't draft a skill player in this spot. Number 8, Will Johnson, cornerback, Michigan, on his way to the Panthers. They're also a team that can kind of go in a lot of different directions here, but the best player on the board that also matches one of their needs is Will Johnson from Michigan, a fantastic cornerback, big, strong, fast, can make plays on the ball. Absolutely what you need. One of those classic, amazing Michigan cornerbacks, and will help out Dave Canales and the Panthers in year 1, and that's what you want from a top 10 pick for sure. Number 9, New Orleans, Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU. If there's a team in the top 10 that will get aggressive and try to move up for a quarterback, probably for Shadir Sanders, it will be New Orleans. I think that they do have their eyes on him. I don't think New York is going to let them do it, but they could. So keep an eye on them to try and trade up and get Shadir Sanders, especially if the Giants don't take him at 3. They could be moving up to go get him. But if they don't move up and stay put, I like Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU here. Again, helping your offensive line, helping out whoever the quarterback's going to be, because it might not be Derek Carr this year. He's got an injury he's dealing with to his shoulder that might keep him out the entire year. So Will Campbell, offensive tackle, LSU, my pick here for the Saints, although given the Shadir Sanders situation, this could go in a lot of different directions. And number 10, wrapping up today, the Chicago Bears. Now, I definitely see them taking a running back in the first 2 rounds. Ben Johnson loves running backs. And he's got a couple on the roster that he can do some things with, but he wants an alpha dog. Remember, they picked Jahmyr Gibbs in Detroit very high, higher than most thought he would be picked. So could this be Omarion Hampton, who's the 2nd-rated running back in this draft? Possibly. I have him going later on in the draft, but if you're going to go best player available that can fit your need no matter what you've got going on, Jalen Walker, linebacker, defensive end, a pass rush extraordinaire from Georgia. This guy's a beast. He steps in and helps you right away. Does he help Caleb Williams right away? Only in the sense that now you'll have somebody to help you get off the field faster and put the ball in Caleb's hands even faster. That's going to do it for today's Top 5. Tomorrow, picks 11 through 15. And that includes the Cowboys at 12. Which the pick I have them making, I'm totally fine with. In fact, excited about it. We'll talk about that tomorrow. This is the Top 5. This is the end of the show. Smokey is in charge of ending it, though, so we're at his mercy.
All right, well, that's the way it should be, even though you got the bunt cake. Here are the polls from...
1 second.
Andrew Valade, who is peppering everybody, social media, with so many different things, giving people an idea of what else we have, what we have coming up, different topics, etc. Of course, Emery is also in the middle of editing down 365 Sports tonight at 10:30 on the local CW. Should NFL teams allow players to play both ways? Yes, it's exciting. Pretty much split here. A little bit of a lower number for no, focus on one. Depends on the player. Of course, that could be depending on as good as Travis Hunter. So, that doesn't surprise me much. I don't know. No focus on one. People have that opinion. It depends on the NFL, the team that he plays for, and what is their opinion.
Yeah, if it's Travis Hunter, you just let Travis Hunter be Travis Hunter and help you out however you can.
Still wonder if they'll get him involved, guys, in special teams.
I think that's when he gets to have water. So that maybe, and like he's not going to have a full boat package on both sides of the ball wherever he goes, but he'll be able to contribute because he's really good at both of them. The thing is about this: how many people are going to do this at the same level that Travis Hunter did going forward?
Oh, it's
probably
very,
not many.
very rarely.
Yeah,
I mean, Charles Woodson, but he's still, obviously, what was it, Dion. But that was a rare. Who are we talking about with dual that played both offense and defense?
Yeah, there are not many.
I'm missing one. I know. I keep on wanting to think of the guys in special teams. That's happened before, but very few have played on both sides of the football. And then this one, based on the morning odds, which of these top 4 schools is Nico Iamaleava most likely to land? And this now is official. UCLA was well ahead of everybody with nearly 60% of the vote. North Carolina, USC, Colorado, total votes, big time, 229, and UCLA does get him. Will be interesting to hear now the stories over the next 2 or 3 days and watch him play this fall. So there we are. Thank you, Andrew Valade, for putting up those polls. We'll do that at the end of each show after Paul Catalina's top 5. Thank you, Garrett. I'm telling you, what you did during the Skillings segment was that took some moxie. Also, Andrew Valade, Emery Winter, all of you who watch us, however you do, whether it's on Twitter, YouTube, we are here every day, afternoon 3 to 6. And thanks to Paul Catalina, Craig Smoak. Paul, happy birthday. I won't be here for your birthday's Saturday.
Yes, it is.
It was way premature. On the cake, but I won't see you tomorrow.
Here tomorrow, and we're not having a show on Friday.
No Friday show with Good Friday. Thank you again. Have a great night. This is 365 Sports.